Brilliant, brilliant. I don't know who that is yet. I'm still sending out messages, so I can't see the Zoom. But hello, hello. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Is that you?
Yeah, it's me, Sher.
Sure. There you go. I was just reading your message, so that's awesome. So okay, so I was just about to say, hey, we started already because I wasn't sure if you meant that you could come later or earlier. But anyway, that's cool. That's excellent. That's very exciting. That's very exciting. All right. Let me just see. Just going through it all. Okay, so Anita. Okay, I send the email, but not everybody sees the emails all the time. So I message them either on Facebook or voice as well. Those who have been participating regularly.
Uh-huh.
So I send I send the link in either voice or Facebook Messenger or Skype or wherever. So just as an additional reminder, because like I said, not everybody sees those emails all the time. So
I will have to step away for just a few minutes in a little bit. I gotta go.
no problem, no problem. That's the magic of what we do and how we do it. That you join, you come, you leave. It doesn't matter, and there's a kind of a magic to that also. In that when we involved in something and somebody goes and then you come back, then we kind of catch you up, and in that catching up, that's a little takeaway of its own. It's a recondensing, it's a clarifying, and it's a repetition. So it's very powerful. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Isn't that exciting?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I just like the multi-purposing of it, and also the same applies when people, when somebody, we started and somebody joins halfway through, same thing. We catch them up and we fill them in, and that makes for us to give our takeaways on what we've been discussing, and it's that repetition and emphasis. So very powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Get my books.
Right. Yeah. That's very powerful. So I was on sharing with Bina. Now Bina can't be here, unfortunately. She's gone to sleep already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, because it's 2:00 in the morning by her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She's 12 hours away from me. So yeah, which is easy to remember, which is quite handy. But anyway, very powerful thing came up with Bina. A whole bunch of powerful things came up, really. One of them being application.
Oh.
Albina and Ryan also. You're going to hear this from Ryan when he comes. How they are shifting very deeply to connecting to the profoundness of what they are connecting to, and they are shifting to applying it to themselves personally in their lives and wanting to live it, to live the way of impeccability deliberately. It's one thing when we connect to these profound ideas to say, yes, I want that, but to do so deliberately, which is the implication in full command of your capabilities, that's a whole different picture. That's a whole different story, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure where I am right now.
You're in the absorbing. And yes, you are applying, but that deliberate application comes when we have that shift of being to getting where we are saying, hey, now I am changing my basic essential underpinnings of how I'm approaching my daily life in general. And I'm going to start applying this stuff as like a new way of being in a deliberate way.
Okay.
Profound, deep habits. So it's taking that thing like with patience, for instance, and really, really, really applying it every single day and repetition. And in our discussions, it comes up time and time again. But it's also the shift to you just not dealing with patience. It's the shift to you shifting to being a completely new and different person that is now somebody who's engaging in a deliberate way of living. Big shift. Big shift. One is we acquire additional things to our existing self. The other is a profound shift of our way of living, which by implication is a profound shift of ourselves as well. Yes?
Yes, exactly. Well, with patience, it's all coming in bits and pieces, but like say with the patience, aspect,
Right.
every day it gets easier.
Yes.
It really does.
Yes.
It just gets easier. And especially being patient with people.
Right.
So,
There's another capital P term that's very powerful.
exactly. And honoring them in their own space,
Yes.
where they are, not where I expect them to be. And that's one other thing that I've been working on is releasing my expectations of others.
Exactly. Very powerful. Very powerful. Very powerful.
Yep.
I wanted to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
With Ryan and Bina and Donna. I'm hoping Donna's going to join us. I suspect she will. You're going to hear, especially Ryan sharing today, he's come to a very profound shift. And Bina, same thing, actually today also. It's really powerful. And you are going to hear what is the consequence of persistence. Capital P, persistence.
Persistence.
Yeah, so make a note of that. That's a very powerful power term because I specifically want to emphasize this. I'm keen for you to hear today, to step back and make space to hear, but hear from the context of persistence.
Okay. Well, I now have both books.
Wow. Because when you hear Ryan sharing and hopefully Donna's today, their takeaways on where they're at. And if you had heard Venus, and I will send you the recording of Venus takeaway today. You are going to hear how they've come to be at the spot that they are at now, which is a major turning point for them. And it's in essence, it's yes, they've come a long way, but actually now they are really starting, even though they've been at this for quite a while. But now is when they are actually starting. And it's the persistence that has gotten them to this particular profound, huge, unbelievably deep, magical point at where they are now. And that's what I'm keen for you to hear. Because then it's going to put perspective, another fantastic P. It's going to put perspective on where you are at. Because there's so much coming and we are just starting of the muchness. So there's a lot of more muchness that's going to come still, and it can be a bit overwhelming, but to persist, and that through that persistence, we get to that transformation.
All right, my customers are here, so I'm going to step away for just a few minutes, okay?
No
Okay,
problem.
I'll be right back.
No problem. Hey, doggo. Feels like the dog's barking at me. I'm here, doggy. It's all good. You're hearing my voice, but you don't know where it's coming from. It's all right, dog. It's all right. It's all right. There you go. See? It's all good, dog. Good dog. I know. Most constant. I don't know if it's coincidental or not, but I started speaking to the doggo. It calmed down. So.
It's just been a lot of rush orders. A lot of them. I'm going to have to. I'm going to click on that in just a minute.
I'm just making coffee, so all good.
Yeah.
Uh, I just wanted to say, sure, when we come and go, like interruptions like this or whatever, it's truly not a problem. Not in the
Okay.
least at all. No, no
Okay.
way at all. It's just, we do, and we are looking to maximize our time and to fit in where we can this these sessions and sharings. So hey, stuff happens, we adapt, and it's not a problem, but I'd rather do it this way than not at all, by far, far, far. So never a problem, never a problem. And you'll see, especially if other people are here, you just go, you come back, we continue, we pick up, it's no big deal. But for me, if it's just us, not a problem at all. Truly not a problem. So it's all good, it's all good. Otherwise we wouldn't do it, right? Because seldom do we find time to set time, such big blocks of time aside. Yes, you there, Sher? Dang, it sounds like outer space transmissions. I'm not hearing you, Sher. If you are talking, I'm not sure. But what you can do, Sher, if you're hearing me and you're not I hear wild static sounds. Leave meeting and come back again. Let me see if I can kick you off, actually. Then you'll have to come back because I don't think you heard that. Um, I don't know. I don't want to just kick you off in case that it says remove, but maybe that won't allow you to come back on again. So I'm not sure. So all right, I'll just type it here. I'll just type it here. Okay, there we go. Sounds like you're tuning an old shortwave radio, sure. I don't think you can hear me, but okay. All right, there we go. Okay, one moment. There you go. There you go, show. Hello world, hello world, hello world. Oh, I hope everyone comes. I'm looking forward to chatting to everyone. Looking forward to them meeting you, Sher. Looking forward to you meeting them. Just all magical. Just all magical. Wha- Oh. Sorry. Oh, oh, what happened? That come finished already? Cannot minimize Zoom. Oh, okay. Aha. So this was okay. Donna and Sher. Sorry. Uh, and it was about application as well. Yes, it was about that profound application of Bina. Oh, it was so huge, Bina. That was so huge. All right, very cool, very cool, very cool indeed. Let's upload. Yeah, it was about that. Right. Boom. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Wave impeccability sessions, yes. Ah, they become so magical. They become so magical. So magical. I love them. I love them. Yeah, notifications. I'm coming, people. I'm coming. I'm coming. Oh, okay. Very good indeed. Very good indeed. All right. Aaron first. Brilliant. Brilliant. I hear somebody. I hear somebody. All right, brilliant, brilliant, sure. So when you were on earlier and you came back, it sounded like you were tuning a shortwave radio.
Oh no.
Yeah, that same sound. That was really wild. So yeah, whenever you have problems connecting, sometimes for whatever reason with Zoom, you just have to leave meeting and come back, and then it resets it. So it's just a weirdness, just how it is. It's really powerful. It's pretty cool. Let me just finish making a little post here.
Okay.
Let's see. Why must it have to argue both sides? Uh, all right, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Just talking about new nobility legal system. Just
Cool.
a little detail. It's a long story and it's in its own universe and all of that. And so there's a lot going on there. Um, and so there's a lot of backstory to it. And anyway, it's a long story, literally. But in part of the way that there's the story itself, which is just a section, which is a long story. But then there are supplemental works which kind of give the greater universe, uh, I guess scholarly articles or reports or bureaucratic whatever. Anyway, so on one of these now you get to see kind of like the underlying foundation, like their perspective on the legal system and they're instrumental in changing the greater legal system in the larger society, which is the agglomeration, which is the galaxy, right? They just on their own little planet.
Right.
It's just set in the future for convenience. But anyway, so what they did with on Nobilia itself, there's only one law.
Okay.
That's it. Just one law, one word, and that's appropriateness. That's it. That's the only law is appropriateness. So when you go to court, if that ever happens, which is very rare, right? You are completely judged and responsible according to appropriateness. There's no prescribed sentences or whatever. It's up to the judge, which in this case happens to be everybody. It's the courts. Some might take the role of an admin role, but everybody votes on it. So the whole society is the jury. Now, obviously, they don't all necessarily participate because people are busy, but whoever's participating. So you are truly judged by your peers. But the sentence can be anything for even the smallest thing. it's completely up to the situation, and it's determined by appropriateness. So you can't say, well, technically I didn't break. There are no loopholes. In other words, there's no requirement for anybody to prove something. In other words, if you've got a great big bullshit story and we just can smell the bullshit, but we can't prove it, we say, hey, we smell the bullshit. Sorry, here's your sentence. End of story. And there's nothing you can do about it. Which is awesome. Right now, of course, the new nobility are fundamentally deeply entrenched in discernment and awareness and balance and fairness and all this. So they're not going to do that lightly. There has to be a very high probability that this is likely so. But again, it's that when you are when you like, and mostly this applies to actually visitors. Sometimes they kind of, you get people coming there with nefarious intent. So it never gets really used with the new nobility themselves. But nonetheless, when you're in a system where the law is appropriateness, and I don't know if you were a school teacher, yeah? I think you said, or was that Donna? I was Donna, sorry.
Yeah, I'm a jailer.
You were a jailer?
No, I am a tailor.
Oh, okay. Well, and as a jailer, then you will know this very specifically. You make rules, and everyone finds ways to find a way around those rules, right? When I was in the army, we did conscription. Man, I learned all the regulations and I knew where to find the loopholes. Very system. I actually understood the system, and so that I could use the system to my benefit. But the same thing, like when we had employees and we said, there are no rules, just, do whatever, just be sensible, just, do what's appropriate. They hated that because they couldn't find loopholes. So this is very anti-criminal. You would think it's, oh man, no laws. Oh, this will be ideal for the criminals. Aha, but if that one law is appropriateness, they know they're buggered because they know that their squirreliness and their nonsense, they can't squirm out of it. They know they're going to be held accountable. It's very, very, very powerful. So it goes to accountability, as in Accountability Lab also, that, hey, if we go by appropriateness from a universal context, then everything is off. Should is out of the window. Supposed to be is out of the window. We've got no excuses. We've got nobody else to blame. We got nothing except ourselves and our own personal deep accountability. Very profound system. Very profound system. But the point I was making on here was just, a friend of mine who's writing a big, long, epic story also. He said he was making a point about, he said, as authors, should we remain neutral or should we use our platform for what we perceive as the greater good? And then I said, both. It's doing, it's how we do which matters. It's how we share this that matters. And then, sharing is a profound way of communicating and much more effective than telling. There's no claiming involved. So that was kind of the start, and then he said yes, and then he said, "Oh, the person was passionately arguing against his own position," which is cool. And then it led to this point about the legal system, because in that legal system, in the greater galaxy where there's more economy and not everybody's connected to integrity and impeccability like the new nobility, so you have to have a more somewhat conventional legal system. So yeah, there are laws, but yes, there's also appropriateness, and there's the rider clause that the judge can override the penalty, all that stuff. Anyway, but the system is that the lawyers are appointed by the state, and the lawyers have to argue both sides.
Oh, nice.
They have to argue both sides. So you get 4 points of view at least. If there's a third or a fourth side, like, often you've got a third party in a case, you've got like sometimes you've got 6 people represented. They all got their own lawyer, and they're all coming at this thing from, that's it. If there are more perspectives, they have to make the case for that as well. Brilliant. Mary, I just want to finish this thing I'm saying to Sher real quick. So if they don't represent both sides fully, like if they have a personal prejudice perhaps towards one side or the other, then the judge will penalize them for not giving it full stick on both sides. So their personal opinions, it don't matter. You got to do it, because otherwise you get sanctioned by the judge. And money's not an issue there. They don't do it for money. You're doing it because this is your passion. But you don't want to be spending time in jail. You know what I mean? So again, too, it's part of that. What we were saying too. When we create space for the furtherance of our passion, and for the implementation of our passion, this is when we get maximum productivity. And this is when we get maximum joy and awesomeness and connectivity. And this is when we have the most pertinence and relevance, and thus emphasis, and thus connectivity, and thus learning and growth. So pursuing our passion, since we're on a peace streak here today, right? So when we pursue our passions, this is when we get to just absolute, just magic, So the pursuit of passion leads to pleasure, you could say. But leads to performance, really, in the context of productivity. That's the P word I was looking for. The pursuit of passion leads to profound personal productivity. There's a whole bunch of P's right there. Pursuit of passion leads to profound personal productivity. I love alliteration. I love it. Hello, Mary. Hello. Glad you could join us.
How are you?
Brilliant. Yes, most excellent. So I'm waiting on Ryan. We're starting early because Ryan asked to start early, and there's lots that I want to get into, and so I'm somewhat reluctant to get into things like what Sher and I were discussing was like a little aside thing. I'm reluctant to get into kind of big things because I want to wait for Ryan. So in the meantime, though, we can just connect to anything. But let me ask you, Mary, and this actually applies to Sher as well, right? And if we get into this, it can wait. Ryan will just have to wait. That's all good. You did session 1, module 1, session 1. You did already, right, Mary?
Yes. Yeah.
And the same with Sher, because I know we did that together. But also, Sher, you indicated that you did session 2 and that you had takeaways on session 2. Yeah?
No, not takeaways yet. I'm reviewing session 2 again right now.
I got you. Okay. Well, but you have a few?
I think so.
Okay. Brilliant. That's enough. That's enough for us to get started. Mary, did you get connected to session 2 yet or not?
Yeah, a little bit. But
a little bit.
Then I got interrupted.
All right. So you and Sher are on exactly the same page then. Okay. Yeah. So let me go. I'll pull that up, and you can share where you're at, or we can just go through. We can go through session 2 together, and I'll just go kind of fast because session 2 is. I'll explain in a moment. Session 2. It's really just to kind of clue you into what's coming. So it's a bit of a different session. So just to kind of alert you as to what's going on and what's happening. So it's a very different one. That's why we can do it now. And if Ryan joins halfway through, this is cool because Ryan did want to restart the thing as well. But session 1 and session 2, it's really at session 3, module 1, session 3 that we start to kind of get going in a depth way. Yes, clarity of intent is very important. And it will come up, but that's not a starting point. It's really a continuation point. Yes, we define our clarity intent, but as we continue through the program, that intent might change, shift, get refined, get fine-tuned. So there's more when it comes to that. So it's an ongoing thing, in other words.
Okay.
But this session 2, it's just to kind of to open up space for what is going to come. So
I got you.
Gotcha. All right. So that's important.
Sorry, I'm eating my dinner.
No problem. That's fantastic. That's perfect. It's appropriate. I just finished, and I don't know if Sher's already had or not, but yeah, there you go. So
you put me in the middle of making a spicy stir fry.
Perfect. I want to emphasize this because, Sher and I started earlier, and then, I don't know, something happened, and the dog went crazy, and I think somebody visited or whatever, and Sher had to go, and she came back. Interruptions, pausing, going, coming back. It's never a problem. It's always cool. It's always okay. It's not a worry. Because also, like now, when you come, okay, we were kind of at the tail end of what we were saying. But if I was going to go longer, then I'll stop and give a little takeaway recap to catch you up. Like, okay, Mary, this is what Sher and I were talking about. That way, that little recap to get you caught up This is profoundly valuable because it's a takeaway, it's a condensation, it's a focus, and it's repetition. And we love the repetition. And of course, every time, let's say more people come, I will do that regularly, or you guys will do it. You'll just say, okay, just to catch whoever's got, here's what I was talking about. Whenever we do that, we deepen our own understanding and mastery and connectivity to what we're sharing. So it's massively valuable. So we like the fact that everybody can come and go as they choose. It's not a problem. It's very important. Plus, the fact that you are doing this while eating or while doing whatever means that you are doing it. Otherwise, you would say, well, I can't pick up, and then you won't be here, and then that's... So I'd rather us be doing this with all the interruptions and stops and starts, no problem, rather than not doing it. Yes?
You know,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. I try not to eat, though, because it's not polite.
No, well, don't worry about that, because you're going to see me eating plenty. I was eating before, and all of us. So please don't worry about that, Mary. We'd rather have you here eating. And again, all you do is just turn off your camera and your mic. So what do we care? You know, it doesn't matter. So not a problem. So don't worry about being polite. Think of this as the ultimate dinner conversation. That's what it is to me.
There
Yeah,
you go.
so I know, to me, it's always a big dinner party. That's what the takeaway session is. It's just this fantabulous, excellent dinner party, and you know, it's just awesome in that sense. So it's fun and it's joyful. You know, that's the whole point. Okay, so you guys can see the screen here, right?
Yep.
All right, brilliant. So intent and appropriateness, again, that's the module name, and specific practices is this particular session. So, all right, so I'm just going to go through this. So what's coming are some specific practices as you will be doing, and not just hearing or listening, but the doing. All right, so I have to qualify this a little bit. And note well that hearing and listening here are not capitalized, right? So we will be hearing as a capital H hearing and listening as capital L listening, but those are doings. Right? When they capitalize, those become doings. Uncapitalized, they just a regular thing. Okay? So this is meaning it in the usual sense that you aren't just absorbing, in other words, you're going to be doing. And this is what I'm excited about. Now, Bina earlier today shared about her doing. And Ryan, when he's coming, you're going to hear him shift from where he was hearing and listening to where he's hearing with the capital H and listening with the capital L, and how this is transforming him into doing, the doing of Ryaning himself and really connecting to the fullness of Ryan. So I want to make a very specific point here. Very important point. Very, very profound, deep point. And it's a personal point that connects to both you, Mary, and you, Sher. Very important point. What I do, I'm not sharing stuff that you learn as far as I'm concerned. Yes, in one sense, yes, but not really. Because what I am sharing, which is elucidating and bringing things up into awareness. When I share something which, okay, sometimes, you know, in just from experience now, like thinking of Ryan and Donna and Bina and so on. Some of the things they've connected to, that's really profound. When you connect to something that's really profound and meaningful to you, it's actually because you recognize the profoundness. That's very important. That's a very subtle but huge, major shift. In other words, the fact that you recognize the profoundness implies that some part of you already knows it. Otherwise, how can you recognize it?
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I am doing, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not teaching anything. Even the sharing is not really there. Yes, I am sharing what's important and valuable to me. But really, what I feel that I'm doing, I am just enabling you or facilitating or assisting the connection of you, Sher, and you, Mary, to the deeper, real, fuller Mary and Sher.
Yep.
That's the key, right? So from my point of view, I'm just assisting and facilitating this connectivity to a deepness that's already there. Right? So in a sense, I could say from my point of view, in one sense, I don't think that you're actually really learning. Actually, you're just recognizing, remembering, bringing into consciousness, becoming aware of what you already know.
Okay.
You already know impeccability. You already know integrity. It's just a matter of doing it so deliberately. So that's a very important point. It's a very, very big, huge point to realize. From my perspective, I see essentially, a moreness that it might not be on the surface right now, but I see it in there. Hey, Mary, marvelous to see you. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So that's hey, and buffing glasses too. I like that.
Oh yeah. I need me glasses.
Yeah. So this
I don't
point that
see too well without them.
brilliant. So this point that I'm making, that as far as I'm concerned, what I see in you and all of who I connect to, I see a deepness and a moreness, and it's simply becoming connected to that in a more deliberate, conscious way. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Fine. All right. So very important, and that's the doing. That's the doing. It's that doing of connecting to that deeper real self. All right. So maybe I should actually say what follows are some specific practices. I don't think everybody quite always connects to my specific grammar style, which just jumps into things from the middle of nowhere. I mean, because there's a colon. It implies it in the grammar. Some specific practices, colon, what's coming. You see what I mean? So, but okay, I'm just going to adapt as we go along. All right. So you'll be taking notes of what's going on inside you as we go through the course. You'll keep a constant journal. Okay, you are both doing that, right?
Yep.
Okay, this is important. The journal is about your application. So today I grasped onto something that really is significant and impactful to me. This made a difference to me. I glued up and I got connected to the idea that impatience is actually arrogance. And when I connected that to my honesty, I said, bugger it, now I can't be impatient anymore. That's
Right.
journaling, right?
Yes.
I'm using anything from that was pertinent to Sher. But that's what I mean by the nature of the journaling, to share what was your journey. Now, I said this earlier to Bina. What does journey imply? If you are a journey implies you are moving, yes?
Yeah.
So journaling is when you write down where you have moved. Not, I heard something profound today that's really cool. Okay, you heard it, so bloody what?
Yeah, it's more about where you want to shift to where you want to be.
It's more of how you applied it, because only when you actually apply that new awareness, that's when you move.
Yeah.
Right? So so the journaling is the sharing of the application of the doing, in other words, but how you have applied it to yourself, in other words, how you have moved.
Okay.
Yeah, very powerful, very powerful, very powerful. All right. Okay, so you see, and also the other part of what I'm saying here too is to share what comes up inside you. This is very powerful, and please feel free to interrupt me anytime. I've really made a specific, deliberate point to learn how to maintain my connectivity to my main point, and I can digress at any time. You can interrupt me. I'll just come back to it. It's not a problem. It truly is.
Yeah.
So feel free.
I want to say, like, that there's a piece that I'm finding slowly. I am walking away from the negative complainers that live in the community where I live. I just can't stand it.
Yep.
I don't want to be around it. So I just find myself slowly removing myself from that, not being rude, just, sorry, gotta go, whatever. I just don't, I can't.
You're choosing your own
world. It drags
world.
me down emotionally to be around people like that.
Right.
So, that's part of my shift is being able to walk away and do so in a graceful manner.
Brilliant, brilliant. So
You know?
that's your application. You are
Yeah.
deliberately choosing to create your own world. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, awesome, awesome. But again, sometimes when I'm saying with things that come up, they might not be connected or they might not seem like they're connected. Share them anyway, because they are inevitably connected. They're coming up for a reason. And so share, even if it seems irrational or illogical or unconnected, share it anyway. Very powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Okay.
So just real quick then, she was talking about a little bit of change. The only change that I've noticed, and this has been a long time coming and it's building, and I don't know if it's burnout or if it's just me being just excited or what it is, but I am to the point where I'm just, this job that I'm doing, the tailoring, the sewing, it's draining me. The people that I with every day.
It could very well be burnout. On that perspective, sure, I would say if you can possibly put it on pause for right now.
The sewing?
The whole perspective of the idea of the tailoring being something that's sort of pressuring you in some way, right?
Okay.
Right. I mean, you're saying that, and it's a reality for you. But let's just say it like you're saying. You know what? Okay, I did feel that. I felt it earlier today. I felt it yesterday, and whenever. But I'm going to put it on pause and not say that it is something that I'm feeling. So I'm just going to put the whole thing on pause and not deal with it just right away. And the reason for that is because you, Sher, are undergoing radically profound changes, which also automatically bring about profound perspective shifts. So initially you're going to see your customers from a different angle. But as we persist in the way of impeccability, it's going to lead to even further shifts. And the swing that you've had could swing all the way back again.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So in the same way as it did with the accountability lab, there was a swing and a swing back. So you're in a very fluid state when it comes to perspective shifting now. So just know that. So know that whatever connectivities and perspectives you have, that they are likely to be just passing, right?
Okay. Okay.
So just put them on pause and say, okay, tomorrow I might shift again and it's all different. And that's very likely to be so.
Okay.
Because you are in a profound state of flux right now. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And that's where the persistence comes in, as a capital P persistence, because we are going to go on this roller coaster ride as you are discovering, yes? And it's also an emotional roller coaster. So just know that and just persist regardless. That's it.
Okay.
Just persist regardless. Just persist regardless. All right. As a warrior, when dealing with a deadly enemy, we need intelligence, information. We need to know the enemy. Just a little point here to say, leading into something. So actual application is a doing which transcends another great enemy, belief. And believing we know because it makes sense to us. So this is what we want to do. We want to overcome our beliefs through application and doing. And we want to be believing stuff because it makes sense to us, not because somebody else is doing that.
Right.
Yeah, or habit,
Exactly. Shifting our habits. If we aren't doing and living and feeling the consequences and implications of our realizations, they're meaningless, which means we have to make our realizations and understandings into new habit. Right. So, on the mind map, I don't think you've quite seen the mind map yet, Mary, but this is the mind map that we'll talk about every now and then. So on this mind map, just to go real quick through it, I don't want to get into it too much right now, Mary, but it just takes all of these are for me, my conceptions, my entries into my own personal dictionary of power that I just put together and connected them, and they underlie the entire way of impeccability program. So we see the core ones: appropriateness, attunement, awareness, and application, and they all the 8 terms. But anyway, so we go through self-conception, which we're going to come to later, character stuff, of course, that's what we're always dealing with, ways of being, ways of living, impeccability, integrity, all of that. But here's the point I want to make: habit management and mood management and energy management. It's actually really, I should change this to habit mastery and mood mastery and energy mastery. And also there should be something else in the middle here, which is association mastery. So this is very important and very powerful. It's a very powerful mechanism that shifts us into that doing and that application here when we make our realizations and understandings into new habit. Now, we want to be masters of habits so that we don't just replace one with the other, but to have the ability to institute habits at will. Donna! Donna! Magical. Ah, so happy that you're here. Brilliant. So what we're doing, Donna, is we're going over module 1, session 2. Just real quick, because both Sher and Mary had kind of did it halfway and they got interrupted. So we're just going through it because we're also waiting for Ryan. Because Ryan has a big shift and he shifted very profoundly today. And so did Bina earlier. So I want to connect all that and I want to hear Ryan's shift. And I have a feeling that Donna also is at a very profound point. So I'm very keen to hear from you guys. But until Ryan gets here, we're just going to go through session 2 real fast here. So this point of habits, that we want to become masters of habit management so that we can institute power habits, because we don't want to be habitual in general because we want to live deliberately. But there are some habits that we want, like the habit of living deliberately. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So there's a bit of a conundrum, but we want to have this ability to be deliberately habitual and with consciousness, and to have like the habit of being impeccable, the habit of shifting perspective, and so on. So there are some habits that we do want. But again, it's only as good as it lasts. We'll change it as soon as it's not valuable anymore. All right. So this is why we're in a battle with habit, not only to defeat old habit, but to conquer habit so thoroughly that we can institute new habits we choose at will and change them as needed. This is power living. Oh, so what I just said, see, my thinking was the same then as it is now. One thing leads to the other. I just said all this. Okay. What also you'll be doing via your personal journaling is to get to that point where you can thoroughly explain each PowerPoint of knowledge. Only once we can explain something adequately in our own terms does it fully become ours. This is the point and purpose of your homework and homework should be in inverted commas there. Actually, let me add that in. Of your homework to re-explain what you've come to know and understand for the purpose of checking and mastering your understanding. So this is vitally important. This whole point of checking our ability and explaining for the purposes of knowing that we understand ourselves. We want to check and test that. And it's very important also from a point of view of emphasis, of course. Very, very powerful. So on this point, I'm sure we've been talking about sharing. So remind me a little later when Ryan comes on. I want to start to share something about disclaimers to when Ryan comes on. Very powerful. Very powerful. Okay? So, all right. So we're going through, and these are all the things that you do. So if you ask the question, you'll always write down the question itself. This is a very powerful practice.
Yes.
To write down the question itself also. It is very transformative in emphasis. So just get into that habit. Write down the question, not just the answer. Very powerful. Okay, you'll provide multiple answers as much as possible. So we're going through a list of all the things that we're going to be doing as we go through. So this point of providing multiple answers, which is perspectives, get into that habit. Do not just share one thing, but multiple. Like the birds there, multiple. Right? It's very profoundly, massively transformative. We default to looking for an answer. How often in real life does something actually have an answer? Pretty much never.
It's very rare.
Exactly. This is a very profound habit shift, this multiple answers. Very, very big deal. You'll constantly look at matters from as many perspectives as possible. This has to become a new habit. Yes, absolutely. It's very definitively written there. I'll have to relook at that and write that a little bit differently. You'll become a bit obsessed with changing your old habits and instituting new habits. And this is important. I know I've gone over this example with Donna, but I'll share it again because we can never get enough of this stuff, right? The concept of overbending.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very powerful. So we have these little, I don't know what they're called. I think they're sort of fir trees of some kind. And in winter, they're about as tall as I am now, so they're fairly young still. But in winter, when it snows, which it does here occasionally, the poor little trees, they kind of up straight like that, but then the branches all bend and they almost go to the ground with the weight of the snow, right? So it's like they kind of get curved over. But then when the snow melts and, I kind of knock the snow off, the little tree doesn't quite bend back to where it was. The branches, because the weight of the snow, they kind of bent like that. But I can actually bend them straight to get them back to where they are. But in order to get them to that straight, I have to take the bend wherever it is, and I have to bend past the straight point. I have to overbend. And then when I let it go, it springs back to center.
Okay.
Right.
Nice.
In other words, to get it to center, I can bend it from the curved point to straight up, and that's not, because if I let it go, it just goes back to being bent. In order to get it straight, I have to overbend it, and then it comes to straight. Okay?
Nice.
So we have to understand this. When it comes to habits and changing habits and ways of being, it's the same point. We have to kind of overdo it a little bit in order to get to the point that we want to be at. That's why when it comes to instituting a new habit, we have to become a little bit obsessed with it almost, right? And to understand something in the same way, we get a little bit obsessed with the understanding. We look at it from all the different angles, multiple perspectives. Okay, we kind of got it in the beginning, but by being a little bit obsessed, we overdo it, which means we actually get to that center point, that straight point that we want to do. And then we can just let it go. And now that the little tree, the branch is happy, it's been overbent, it's back to straight, and it's all good and happy. So this is a very powerful conception, the necessity to overdo sometimes. So overbending is a very powerful, it's dictionary of power term, very powerful because it means more to us. Yeah, very cool term, very cool power term. Okay. You know what? I think let's just put this in brackets here. Yeah.
Okay. I'll be back.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Little wild doggy. Overbending. Okay. So we'll know what that means. I don't know. It's kind of cool there. So and if you see stuff like that doesn't make sense, then you just like, okay, I gotta ask about that in the takeaway if you're doing this on your own. You'll make sure to understand emphasis, how it works, and its power. Say again, Mary?
Yeah, I was gonna say your example is perfect.
Yeah, it's a great example.
Because when I lived up in New England, I had a 40-foot juniper tree in my backyard, and when it snowed, it was the same thing. The branches, they almost reached the ground.
Yeah, that's what it is. They're juniper trees. I believe that's what they are. They're juniper trees.
With the weight of the snow.
Yeah.
And you'd have to go out there and either shake the snow off.
Yes.
And,
I don't want to leave it too long because
the branches to go back up, it was the same thing. You had to
overbend them. Yep. Okay.
It was amazing, like the weight that tree could handle.
I know, it's incredible. And these are young juniper trees. So it's like it's this cone. And then, when the snow's on it, just like it curls the opposite way and they're all downward, and then it tries to come back up, but it can't quite make it. I don't like to leave the snow on too long because I'm worried that they'll kind of get they'll get stuck in that bend, and I won't be able to overbend them, so.
Yeah. We had a whole like huge flock of birds too. They just loved that tree because of the berries. So in the springtime, they would come along and they would nest in that tree.
Right.
And when it was time for the babies, like it was amazing, all the birds that would fly out of that tree. Brilliant.
Yeah. All right. So since we're on this little tree here now, and I think it's a juniper tree, and I'm not entirely sure. We shall.
It would have berries on it. The juniper tree.
Yeah. I just want to. Well, there are lots of berries. Can you see the little tree out there?
Yeah, that looks like a juniper.
All right. So it's not the best view, maybe, but anyway. So there's 3 of them, actually 4 of them all told. So.
Yeah.
All right.
They get really big after a while.
Oh yeah,
Let's
no,
say
these are
mine was
still young. Yeah.
almost like 40 feet tall. It
All
was
right,
huge.
that's what I'm saying. These are still teenagers. Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So we digress. We digress. But all right. So part of
That'll take over the yard.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully. So part of this overbending is to understand emphasis, how it works, and its power. So this is important. It's one of the things that we need to do as part of the whole course is to understand emphasis. And we'll come back to it very often. But the idea of this particular session is to just clue you into kind of what's coming and just to emphasize certain points, like emphasis. This course, the live takeaway sessions and the Facebook group is a place where we are different, where we leverage each other to transcend the folly of our habits and move towards new habits and ways of being and thus new ways of living. Donna,
Yes.
would you say that this group and our takeaway sessions, and the group, in other words, those who've been participating in the takeaway sessions, would you say that we've been leveraging each other to transcend the folly of our habits and our being and our stuff? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that we have moved towards new habits and new ways of being and new ways of living?
I can't speak for anybody else on that, but I can say for myself, absolutely. The first thing I can say, just because of when you hear the interaction and people are actually voicing the connections,
Yes.
and other people talk and things.
Right.
And then from there, I feel like that's true, but for me, I know it's true.
Correct. I mean, yes, we can't say definitively it is so for others, but we can say that I can definitively say I perceive others sharing a profound shift of being, right? Now,
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
they know how actually deep it is, but certainly they share the fact that, oh my goodness, and actually today, specifically, Donna, both Ryan and Bina profoundly share huge, massive radical shifts that are just something special. So very cool. So unfortunately, Donna, Bina's sleeping right now. It's 3:00 in the morning there, but
You spoke to her earlier today?
yeah, I spoke to her earlier. Right.
Ah, nice.
Right. So, I didn't send you the link because I assumed you're at work, but I shouldn't. I'll just send you the link in future. So, in case you're off or in case you're on lunch or whatever, I don't know.
I was listening to the one this morning really early with you and Bina. You guys were on for like 4 hours.
I know. We get into it, but all right. So you'll perpetually examine your intent. Each and every action and interaction, question, comment, etc., will always be evaluated as to what its intent is. This key connectivity to intent is so profound. It's so huge. It's just such a big deal. It's just really massive. We'll be instituting a few conventions which are valuable and useful for our purpose and to leverage ourselves, especially via emphasis, such as capitalizing the power words and hyphenating the compound concepts. It's a discipline, and through that, we train the brain as to what's important for us, along with other benefits. So this is a very simple thing. So when you write you're making posts on Facebook or you're writing in your personal journal, it's a very powerful habit to get into, to capitalize the power terms like emphasis, if you're meaning it in that special way, or like impeccability or discipline in this way that we're not meaning it usually, or like the difference between hearing and listening, regular hearing and listening, and capital H hearing and capital L listening. And we're going to get into hearing a little bit later because this was very profound for both Bina and Ryan today specifically. The concept of capital H hearing. So it's just a good little habit. It's a mnemonic, really. That's the technical term for it. To capitalize those, because it shifts that emphasis. Whenever you capitalize those words, you're telling your brain, hey, this is an important word. This word means more to me than what it normally means. So very powerful. Very powerful. I like those nerd glasses, Mary. I like them.
Yeah, these are my readers.
Yeah, all good. You'll be acquiring an extended vocabulary, many terms going beyond the standard or historic meaning. And that's important. That's very important. We're not looking, like I was saying to Bina this morning, We aren't looking at a vocabulary purely for the idea of having a fancy vocabulary. No. Yes, sometimes, I will use vocabulary in an artistic way, but that's just for fun and pleasure. But it's the point and purpose of our vocabulary is for purposes of clarity and understanding, not because it's fancy. Not at all, right? So some things, like for instance, I was explaining the difference between elucidation and articulation. Those are two terms that come up very regularly, and they mean very different things. And I can't use any other terms because there aren't any other. To elucidate is a very specific thing. It literally means to shine light on, to bring to light. And in order to do that, we have to kind of basically, because you shine a light from just one angle, you don't see all of it, right? So to elucidate automatically implies perspective shifting. You have to move that light to light up the whole thing, right? To bring it all to light.
Yep.
Articulation, yes, articulation is expressing in a nice, beautiful, fluent way that connects and communicates and people understand. But articulation can also be just fancy bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay? So articulation isn't necessarily elucidation. So that's what I'm trying to say. So the extended vocabulary, it is to get to a finesse of understanding. Right? So when we combine awareness, discernment, and understanding, this is where the extended vocabulary comes from. It builds all of that all together. Yeah? So that extended vocabulary, it's connecting to the more of things. Because there is a more, like there's a more to hearing and there's a more to listening. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Very excited. So yeah, it's not about being fancy. Okay, sometimes, we can say the same thing plainly and we can say it in a nice articulate way, which is an expression of artistry. All right, so sometimes we might get a little bit, express our own personal artistry with language. All right, cool, that's fun. And that's poetry, really. Poetry in action, not writing poems, but just living poetically, which to me is very important. Yeah?
Yeah. Words were my dad's
Passion.
game of the day at home.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Every morning, he would give each of us a word that we didn't know.
Wow.
And by the end of the day, we had to learn how to spell it,
Nice.
what its definition was, and how to use it in a sentence. And then somehow he would turn it into the dinner conversation at night.
Brilliant.
He would think about it before he would do it.
Yeah,
So
fantastic.
that's how it would come out.
Why?
Which really it was kind of fun, but then after a while it was really, Dad, every day.
Right. The thing is that what your dad was lacking there, or not lacking, I should say, but I suspect what was missing, which made it not so much fun, was that it wasn't pertinent and relevant. We are going to do the same thing with the dictionary of power.
It was just he wanted to increase our vocabulary,
yes,
which was
exactly.
a wonderful thing.
Right.
But it was really, Dad,
Right.
can't we switch this up somehow?
Right. Now, if he'd taken the same conception and just listened to your stories of the day and then picked what was the abstract of what you were doing and found that word and say, you know what? So what you're talking about here actually is discernment. Let's just say for argument's sake. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So what is this? And see now, make it pertinent and relevant. Then it would have stuck more and it would have been a lot more fun. Because we hear and we listen when stuff is connected to what's going on important, what's inside us, what our thing is of the moment. So just the communication is the issue there. In other words,
it was his old school way of thinking was what
I
it
know.
was.
But it's all good. It still had value. So it's all good.
Yeah.
All right. So your application is using the power terms in your daily language. The more you use them, the more you love them. That's really huge. One of your applications is to use such terms and language in your daily life as much as possible. Now, it says, as using the power terms, I need to change this to say your power terms. Right? Because they don't exist independently. They're actually yours. So this is very powerful. The things that come to you, that are new, that are like really meaningful and significant to you in terms of new conceptions and new ways of being. Those new power terms, like for instance, hearing and listening, became such for both Ryan and Bina today very specifically. Actually, before that, but today they applied them, which is different. They already had them in the dictionary of power, but today they really, really, really applied them, put them into action, and they were able to put them into action. And this has been very profoundly transformative for both of them, as you'll hear. So when we actually apply what's our dictionary of power, our power terms, it's massively transformative. So this is not about doing what I think is powerful or somebody else. No, it's what's you. It's connecting you to real you.
Yeah.
Yes, Donna?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So you'll employ capital T trust. You're here for your own purpose, and that's what matters. And this is what I was saying earlier to Sher, that, hey, and I'll just re-emphasize it, that in this process that we're about, it is a very profound process, and it can be quite a profound roller coaster. So we have to persist, and we have to just keep going. And this is where capital T trust comes in, to just keep going and trust, capital T trust, which means we're being impeccable, and we aren't just trusting and wishing and hoping. No, we are doing everything we can, and after that, we just trust it's going to work out. This capital T trust is actually there for a most profound intent. Actually, it is the intent that things will work out. In other words, in the greater scheme of things. Yeah. So we have to just keep going. And in this particular application, because when it comes to learning, we have to let go of our old stuff. And when we let go, we have to let go fully, because otherwise we bring the baggage train with it. So we have to let go fully. When we let go fully, we end up in that void, which is very uncomfortable, where we haven't yet, we've let go now, but we haven't fully put on the new stuff. So we're a bit naked and vulnerable. A very uncomfortable state. It's then that we have to have capital T trust, and trust in the persisting, and trust in that power term of persistence. It is absolutely vitally necessary. Mary, one moment. Let me just put you on hold there. I want to ask Donna. Donna, in your journey, in terms of this what we've been doing together, right? Because it's what we've been doing together, right? Especially from my point of view, we've been doing it together. In your journey, would you say the fact that you've persisted has been most profound?
Yes.
Okay. It's a big deal, yeah?
It's a very big deal.
I mean,
and
when
I look at the power of that word, it's even different. It's shifted.
Exactly. It's capital P, persistence. That's what I'm trying to say. Exactly. Persistence in our context, it's capital P, persistence. It's a magical thing. It's a power term. And if you could say something that, like, man, if there was one thing that you are really pleased that you did, it was that you persisted. Yes?
No, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a huge, huge, huge deal.
Yeah.
Huge deal. Because that persistence, when we start to do it deliberately, it brings in discipline, it brings in patience, it brings in forbearance. When we put all of those together, we get capital P, persistence. Yes?
Right. It's a combination of all of it. It's like a collaborative effort of all those words that come together. There's this big explosion of power when they all,
Exactly. Yes. And that's capital T trust gets brought into that as well. So this persistence, we can't persist if we don't have capital T trust. So yeah, the persistence is just a magical power word. So we are kind of on a P theme today a little bit. I don't know. It started with Sher, so I'm not sure why, but anyway. So very powerful. Okay. You'll constantly be asked to provide takeaways. You'll need to get into the habit of doing takeaways for yourself on everything. That's how you come to make what you've encountered your own. Making it our own is a deep power conception and practice which we'll make into a new habit. So this thing of making it your own, this is very important. It's no good just to understand what I'm saying or what Donna's saying or Sher or Mary or whoever, what the others, because we all sharing what's valuable to us. Yes, I can understand what you are saying, truly understand it. But if I think, oh, this has value, the only way it's going to actually have value is when I make it my own.
Right.
Well, this is very important. We aren't just here to know what somebody else is saying. No, that's useless. I don't care how much you can repeat what I'm saying. To me, if that's all you are doing, then I'm sorry, but that's just a waste of time, right? It
Right.
might
No.
seem valuable, but it's not. You must have it where it's your own. I don't really want to hear regurgitation of what I'm saying. I already know it. That doesn't help me any. So for my own selfish reasons, I want to hear it as your own, because now, oh man, look how she's integrated. Look how they've taken it and made it their own. Look how it's been utilized and applied. They're getting value. Okay, now I learn also. And this is what we do with others. But beside my own selfish personal wants and desires, that habit of making it our own, that's how it comes to be real. That's how we come to be real. Because
Right.
if we are living something that's somebody else's idea and we are just basically applying it as a regurgitation kind of, or just by default, because we are still living somebody else's life, not our own. Right? So to be real, actually capital R, real, we have to make it our own. Otherwise, we'll never
Yeah.
be real. Yeah, we'll just be
Yeah, well, you
conformists.
know, that was like my family not wanting me to move.
There you go.
You know, that was a very deliberate choice for me to do that at the time that I did it. Even with all of the negative comments coming at me, what was I going to do? How was I going to make it? I had all kinds of, negative stuff. I said, you know what? I said, I need to do this for me to start over and reinvent myself and have a life for myself now that I was alone. And
Yeah.
they didn't get that. They didn't get that I needed like an entirely
you go.
different environment around me
Yeah.
to make myself stronger, to be able to say, you know what, I can do this. That's great.
Right.
Now
Right.
it's, and I find myself letting go of a lot of things.
Now, if I do a takeaway on what you said there, to bring in another power conception that's been coming up very much today, it's making space. In other words, you were making space for you to be able to make your way of being your own, to make
Yeah.
yourself your own, to claim yourself, right? So you were making space.
I needed the space because
Right.
I felt
Right.
like I was too
Right.
crowded and
Right.
too many opinions.
Exactly.
Like everyone had an opinion about how they thought.
Right. So in the same way, Mary, you made space to change. You made space to apply. We need to do this on a regular basis. We need to make space for application. We need to make space for hearing. We need to make space for letting things come. We need to make space for surprise. We need to make space for magic. We need to make space for all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, sorry, I had to turn off my phone.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. No problem. All right, let's go to the next one. You'll only share what you've learned via repeating for yourself what you've learned, not by sharing via copy and paste. This way, every time you share, you leverage yourself to own the material. To own the material, and that's most important. You have to make it yours for it to fully become yours. And that's how you transform yourself into what you wish to be. So, yeah, so this is very important, this whole point here. Again, it's just emphasis on what we just said. Same point, really. Your task is to write out in detail what you intend to accomplish, what you want to achieve with this course, what your goals are, and aims in regard and how you wish to be and change, how you wish to live and be as a person, as your individual self. And this is the post that I was recommending. This is a very powerful exercise. Of course, none of these exercises are required, but if you do this, it becomes massively transformative. But also be cautious here and do it with discernment to know that as much as you write out in detail what you want to achieve and what your goals and aims are, with what you wish to be and change, that these are fluid and they are flexible and they will change. They're not locked in stone.
Yeah.
And unless you have the ability to write in stone, which I somewhat have, but you never know.
I don't write Sanskrit.
Right. Okay. Also, you are to write out your understanding of this course lesson, your takeaway of it. Make particular note of the power terms and power conceptions, adding them to a special file you'll make and keep of such concepts. So this you're already doing, so that's cool. Okay, end session 2. That's it. There you go. Very simple, very easy. So it's again, it's very simple, and the idea is on these sessions when you go through them online by yourself, is to come back in the takeaway session and say, "Hey, Sol, Donna, Sher, Mary, here we go. This is I was going through the session, and this is what's come up for me. This is what I understood the session to mean." So first of all, you check your understanding, and that's very powerful. When we check our understanding, this is not just us assuming we know because we think we know. We are checking it. Now, just because I'm checking my understanding doesn't mean that I agree or disagree. I'm simply making sure that I'm able to comprehend. Then I
Yeah.
can choose to understand or to agree or disagree or apply or not apply or take it and make it my own. But first, I need to be sure that I've actually understood. And this is very important. The second part of that takeaway, it is the opportunity to practice our expression of our comprehension. And this is very, 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 very powerful. So there's a lot in these takeaways, and I do want to get that because we've been doing takeaways in one way only, which is uh, the way that we've been doing takeaways in terms of like what's been important to us, what's been meaningful to us, what's been significant, and how they've applied, and so on. We haven't really been doing the takeaways of the repeat backs. In other words, for instance, here's what I understood you to mean. Those takeaways are very, very powerful. Very powerful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm keen to encourage that and us to get into that habit to say, okay, like especially when you do the online sessions on your own, like these first two are difficult to do that with, but as we go further on, for you guys to come back and to re-explain what you understood the session to mean. Not yet what it means to you, just what it means in and of itself. Then, so that's the repeat back. Then you say, okay, now that I've explained back what I understood it to mean, did I understand it as intended? Okay, then I can say, yes, that's what it was intended or not, and we can discuss and refine to get to where we understand the fully. Then you can say, okay, so let's assume you did understand it because they're not all that complicated. Okay, then you can say, fine, this is, so I did understand it accurately, and my personal takeaways of what's meaningful to me and how I'm going to apply it are this, and this, and this, and this. So that is a different thing, and it's very, very powerful to do both together. And in the first place, too, when we practice that repeat back takeaway, that is also an opportunity to practice listening and hearing. Yes, it's in the form of reading, but really, when we do that, we are hearing what's being said in terms of what it's meant to say, not what it necessarily says in words, right? So we are looking to connect to that deeper understanding of what somebody communicated. Yeah. So this is a powerful skill. But also, when you come and do the repeat back, you get to actually check and test how well you were actually hearing and listening. And you get to practice your expression of your understanding. Now, this term of practice, it is profound and it is huge. All right. So we have to understand this, that this mechanism for practicing, it's really, really powerful. All right. So sure. Ryan is things taking longer. He's on the phone with AT&T. So we're going to get to disclaimers. Right. So Donna, the other day when Ryan was sharing, Ryan shared something very deep and he's very passionate about. And when he was sharing, he kind of shifted from sharing to telling a little bit. Right? Yes, Donna?
Yes.
Okay. And then I advocated as a communication tip. I said, oh, well, just wait till Sher comes back. This is very pertinent to share specifically, Donna. So that's why, and Mary, it's why I just want to pause here and wait for Donna to come back. I mean, Sher to come back. I said to Sher when she's having trouble, and this applies to both of you also, if you're having trouble hearing or talking, either way, sometimes just leave the meeting and come right back. Just the way these things work online, they just, when you go and you come back again, it just resets things. So also on that same note, what helps the connectivity is to either minimize windows like Facebook. Facebook sucks a lot of resources. So either minimize Facebook or close it completely.
Okay.
Yeah, they do suck a lot of resources. Facebook in particular. particular, but some of the other programs and this one too. So it just, helps for the connectivity. So very exciting. So I'm going to go into this point of disclaimers in a moment. I'm feeling much magic from you, by the way, Donna.
You are. That's awesome.
Yeah, lots of it. So yeah, Patti, I can't see you today, but if it's a bad hair day, well, okay, Mary and I are with you right there.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know.
that's
I
why
don't
I got mine pulled back today. It's a really bad hair day.
That's why I'm teasing, because same thing, That's what I learned growing up in a household of woman, a ponytail, it's hat, bad hair day. That's usually what they
Haircut
mean.
day tomorrow.
Right. It's all good. It's all good, It's all good. Brilliant. I can see you, magical Donna. So awesome. I'm just feeling it, Donna. I don't know. I'm just feeling lots of magicalness from you today. Really, really deeper, profound, new nobility magicalness.
It was an interesting day for sure.
Good. We'll get to it in a little bit. I want
No.
to just get to
That's
this
all I'm gonna
point.
say.
So yeah. Well, maybe stuff happened with Sher. So all right, if Sher comes, we'll just reiterate. So what I was saying, that when Ryan was sharing, and he kind of inadvertently, because of his passion, it pulled him into a bubble, and he started to tell rather than share. And so I just advocated to say, add "for me" every now and then, right? And that "for me" actually is a disclaimer, right?
Right.
Okay. So another disclaimer that's really powerful, and this comes to Sher, because Sher is embarking on being a life coach, right? It's a new thing for her, and one of her intents for doing this, yes, it's for personal growth, but it is also for her to be a life coach in the most appropriate way possible, which for her in particular is to be there for others. This is her intent. She wants to be there for others, right? In other words, an intent to listen, capital L listen, capital LH hear. Now, when we are hearing and listening, part of that is to feed back what we've heard, right? In other words, to say, I want to make sure I understand you, or this is how I'm understanding you to mean, or let me just say what I think you meant. In other words, you'll hear me do this on a regular basis, right? So now, what I want to say is, when we do that here in the context of the group, okay, and in Sher's case, she's involved in another group where she's sort of got a bit of a moderator role, to say that, hey, I am, okay, so say, you know what, guys, I want to share something. But this is a sharing of my particular understanding, or making it my own, my journey, my path. But I'm also sharing with a particular purpose, and it is the purpose of practicing my communication. So that is what I'm saying with a disclaimer, to say beforehand, hey, I'm sharing this with the intent to practice my expression and communication. When we put that disclaimer of, hey, I'm practicing, it changes everything. It liberates us and frees us to be able to express in whatever way comes out. So we make mistakes, we backtrack, we re-express, we repeat, we say, wait a second, they didn't come out so fluidly, let me say it again. Because we've made that disclaimer that we are practicing, and specifically we're also practicing, and by implication we're saying for me, we've made two disclaimers. We are practicing our expression, and what we are sharing is our personal opinions. Both of those free us up tremendously. It is a huge big deal. So in the context of this group and the takeaway sessions, one of the things that we wish to do is practice not only our understanding and our comprehension and our ability to communicate that and share it, but practice our communication and expression skills as well. Yes?
Yes.
So you like that idea of the disclaimer of saying, hey, I'm practicing my expression, and then to say whatever it is?
Yeah.
Anna, you like that?
I do.
Yeah. We've been doing it by implication, right?
Right.
But to do it consciously, to add that disclaimer. Now, in the group, it's taken for granted, and we know that. But still, when you make this disclaimer ahead of time, it's just for our internal self-leverage. It becomes profound. So Bina was saying, I keep encouraging you guys to post and make posts and share your journey on Facebook, either on your own timeline or in the group, but, hopefully in the group also. And she said, yeah, but I'm kind of shy and I don't really want to say it and I want to know more. But basically the underlying, when we talked about it, she was cautious about being definitive in her posts. But now with this idea, and I said, well, make it as a disclaimer. Say, hey, I'm making this post to practice my personal self-expression. Okay. Now you can say what the hell bloody well you like, right? It doesn't matter. Now you are not locked into it. It's not definitive. And Bina brought up a really powerful, really cool term. In that way she has of intuitively connecting to stuff. She said that when you are sharing rather than telling, you are not claiming.
Right.
And that you see, Donna, you connected intuitively directly to what claiming means. It's like a capital C, claiming, right?
Right.
It's really powerful. You're not claiming. And that is huge. So when we make these disclaimers, both the for me and the practice, we unhook from that idea, that conception, that limitation of claiming. Because as earnest, good people with modesty and humility, this just does not work for us. Yeah?
Well, the way it strikes me with claiming is that that's the only perspective, and
Exactly.
it's never the case.
Exactly. And this is where Ryan got a little bit out of whack, because he did, not deliberately, but he inadvertently fell into this trap of claiming inadvertently. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing, I don't know what happens, but for me, when I say for me, or if I'm practicing, it literally does something within my body. I don't know if anybody's experienced it.
Yes, that's what Bina was saying.
It makes it lighter.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yes.
It just flows or something. It's
yes, that's exactly what Bina was saying. She said it was profoundly liberating.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
it
word.
It literally physically manifested in my body.
Yes. And this is exactly, now we are getting right here, Donna. I think when we first brought in the term of self-leverage, I think you had you weren't quite sure. You went, I don't quite get self-leverage. You do now.
I think it was self-concept.
Okay. But anyway, somebody they didn't quite get self-leverage. Now, in this point right here, when it comes to the disclaimers of for me and I'm practicing and how liberating that is, it's because when we add those, we apply self-leverage. We liberate our internal self to say, hey, you are now free to share. Why? Because it's not definitive. You are not being arrogant. And us as earnest good people, we have this big dread of being arrogant or being egotistical or being overconfident and all sorts of other stuff. And it's an appropriate caution. But when we say, I'm sharing for me, my perspective, and I'm doing this, my expression is practicing. So I am free to basically mess up and fuddle and muddle and do. That's it. It's about the freedom. It's really profound. So just the tiniest little thing can change everything. It's really absolutely unbelievable.
I see that all the time.
Exactly. And on that point, we were talking about popping bubbles and how when we pop a bubble, we can do the tiniest little thing and it pops a bubble and it's huge. So this happened to be lying around. I don't know if you were here when it came up, but anyway, so this has become the de facto bubble popper representation image icon. And just since we go about the warriors, it's just that we used to sell these and for some reason it survived all these years. So I don't know. Anyway, so the point is though, the point is the point. That's the point I want to make about the point. Right. When it comes to what pops a bubble, it is literally just the point that pops a bubble. By the time the rest of this, it's the point that does the popping. The rest of it is irrelevant, right?
Right.
And a point, by definition, is the smallest possible thing.
Right.
That's the meaning of a point. So in other words, when it comes to popping bubbles, it is the smallest possible thing that pops a bubble. So we have to realize there aren't any big things. right? They can be massive and profound and huge. It's the tiniest thing that can lead to profound, massive shift and change. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's only as big as your mind will make it.
Yeah, exactly. But again, we just have to realize that we have this expectation that it's big things that lead to big change. Not necessarily. Look at that point. The point is the littlest thing possible, and yet it can change our world in an instant,
Yeah,
dramatically.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
huge,
No,
huge, huge.
that's very true. Because
Yeah.
you know, it just, how do I want to put this?
Okay, Mary,
Um,
hold that thought right there.
yeah.
Practice expression. Say, okay, I want to practice my expression of this point.
Uh-huh. I want to practice my expression at this point. When my roomie, she's like the perfect example for me. The day that she moved out, she took things that didn't belong to her. And I was like, wow, really? You go ahead and you do that? Whatever. I'm glad you're gone. You know, I was just glad to be rid of her when she left. And then after a while, I said, you know what? Even though she took things that didn't belong to her, I guess she needed them. I didn't.
Yeah, your perspective shifted.
Yeah. I just, she must have needed them if she felt the need to take it when it didn't belong to her.
Yeah.
So I let it go, and I said, that's okay. That's okay. I've got my peace of mind now that I don't have this person that's like crazy living in my same space. I was just happy to be alone.
Right.
So I don't know. That's for some reason that just brought that thought into my head.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. I mean, and it's huge, that it's just that perspective shifting. And the point we were on is that little things can make a huge difference. And all you did was make that little perspective shift, tiny little tweak, and it changed the whole relationship between you and your ex-roomie, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I went from like being pissed off.
Exactly.
That she had the nerve to do that to saying, you know what, I guess she needed it.
Right.
And just
right. So the abstract point you're making, if I'm hearing you correctly, because we were on the topic of little things making a big difference. So you are giving an example of a tiny shift in your particular personal perspective, which made a huge difference. And this is the example, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like a weight off of me not to be angry about it.
Right. But in the abstract, all you did was you made that little bit of the tiniest of perspective shifts, yes?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now if you, in turn, since you were practicing your expression, Mary, if you were to say the same thing and you were to say, what made this a big difference in me personally, in my mood and my attitude, was a tiny perspective shift in how I perceived my roomie.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
To encapsulate it, in other words, you were giving an example, but then we added what you're giving an example of, and we connected the two. Yeah?
Yeah.
And that led to a greater clarity of communication, yes?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Yeah, because it was just the slightest shift in how I perceived it.
There you go. And it made a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It did. Like I say, it was a weight off of me not to be angry about it.
Yes. Magical. I love it, Mary. So you see, when I was saying earlier that when things come up,
like the weirdest things come out of nowhere.
Right, but they have relevance, and they're not weird. They always have pertinence and connected. Sorry, I'm just was laughing. Sher said she got more customers, too many at once, and I said it's metaphorical, and she shared a little emoji that was just very funny. Like it was like I'm not quite so sure face. So anyway, so that's pretty cool. I'm glad for her. So
good for her.
Yeah. But she was saying earlier that, she's a tailor, Donna.
She's a what?
A tailor.
Okay.
A seamstress, tailor. That's how she said it to me. She said tailor, and then she added seamstress afterwards. So I said, wow, when she said tailor, it just resonated and connected to me. It just felt so metaphorically appropriate somehow. You know, in terms of her looking to shift to be a life coach. I don't know if she wants to be a life coach as a profession necessarily, maybe, but the way I understood it, it was just right. But tailoring it just metaphorically as a life coach, tailoring conceptions, tailoring ideas, helping somebody find their clothing, find what they fit into, making space for them. Isn't that what you do as a tailor? You
That's what I'm
there
saying.
to exactly.
Right.
Just
Nice.
magical. I love it. It's just magical, you know. And that ability basically to perspective shift and see the more in the ordinary, that's a habit. That's really all it is. It's just a habit that we can acquire. To just continually look for the more and insist on extracting the more, and then we always have more. It's fantastic. It's very cool. Donna,
Yeah.
the painting behind you, can you tell us a bit about it?
What would you like to know?
Anything, whatever. The reason I ask is because Sher had a painting behind her, and I wanted to ask about that because when she went away, it became very front and center, and it just struck me as somewhat interesting. And I don't know, it's like a raw silk test, you know. It just seemed to be like a doorway to more of some kind. So I don't know, whatever comes up, whatever share, whatever's intuitive, whatever feel, whatever it connects to for you, not necessarily about the painting itself, but just whatever comes when.
Well, I'll share when I saw it. I saw it and I didn't get it. And I wasn't really looking for a painting, but I thought, that's really cool. And then I just went on. And then I came home and there was just, like you say, I love that expression too. I had a pressure to go back and get it. I didn't need a picture, but I just had this, it didn't make sense. I got to go get this picture. So I got it every time I look at it. Now, see, I ask people when they come into my home, I ask them what they think of it because it was, I don't know, it just captured me somehow. And I say, what do you see in that picture? Because there's so many different answers I get.
I love it.
I see like raindrops, or I see light bulbs, or I see, some kind of rainstorm on a dandelion, and it's like this treasure of, it's more than a conversation piece. It's like you get to see into people's souls almost instantly through a picture by just asking, what do you see in this picture?
So that picture could be captioned or titled perspective shifting?
Yeah, it could. With the capital P. Yeah.
And S, both. And hyphenated.
Yes.
Right. Perspective shifting, hyphen, capital P, capital S. So, But now you see what happened right here, Donna, when we're talking about things coming up and connectivity. And I asked, and it was just a purely intuitive thing from that, and it just kind of came. And what you expressed was precisely what we were talking about, except your example makes it so much more potent and powerful in terms of not just connecting and asking, but not ignoring stuff. Like you said, that internal pressure. You went with it and you followed through. You were impeccable. You didn't leave it lying around. You resolved it and it led to magic. Yes?
Yes.
So there's a profound lesson from us from the way of impeccability. You were impeccable when it came to that painting.
Yeah, it was.
So it is an exemplification not just of perspective shifting, but of capital A, application.
Mm-hmm.
You applied following through. You applied going to resolution. You applied the relieving of that pressure. You didn't know why you had that pressure at first. It was just vague, but then you followed up and you went back and it led to more. Yes?
Correct. It sure did.
So that's a magical painting. That's now forevermore after, to me, that painting represents so much. It represents application. It represents doing. It represents doing, the doing of Donna being awesome, Donna being applicable, Donna being pertinent, Donna being relevant. Just fantastic.
Nice.
And of course, the magic of perspective shifting. and how through the perception of the abstract we can connect to anything. Yes, Donna?
Oh, for sure.
Right. So mastering the abstract, it is absolutely profound. That center point is where the abstract lives, and from there we can go anywhere. But when we're in the specific, we kind of limited into our choices, right? We can only go to what connects to it. But when we get to the abstract, we can go anywhere.
Can you see the picture?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Can
love
you
it.
see
Yeah.
Mary, what do you think? What's that
Yeah,
look like to you?
It's funny that Sil would have asked because I was wondering about it myself.
Were you really? Oh, that's cool.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah. I just it kind of reminds me of raindrops and just like things like flying out into space almost.
Mary, I mean Donna,
Yeah.
look at that painting and look at the little sword, right? And look at the black parts on the right-hand side, right?
Mhm.
Now, if I look at those, they look like these little swords flying out into space. So
That's
basically, what this has become our bubble popper, right?
Right.
Our profound life shifter, right?
Right.
Which is essentially it's the tool of the way of impeccability. In other words, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Right. So, in other words, this year in my hand becomes a representation of us. We have become this to ourselves. So, to me, your picture there, I see these little swords, these warriors. In other words, it's like our spirit, right, represented in this format. The abstract of us as spirit warriors, zooming off into the unknown on our journey into infinity.
Love it. Wow.
Yeah, it's a great painting. I love it.
Right. I
Thank
mean,
you.
when I first saw that, it just gave me the idea of things moving out into infinity. But then the more I looked, and then I saw, but hey, wait a minute, they actually have the shape a little bit, you know, they're in an abstract, way that stuff gets distorted a little bit. It's like the same shape of the sword. Look, you see some of it, they even have that little bottom part coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's just what I'm seeing, but.
No, it's interesting too because
Right.
when I look at it, depending on the days, I very much see different things. It's a painting that changes all the time.
And that's what I was going to say next. Yes, it is also. I'm sorry, Donna. You're going to say more. I just wanted to say it's a painting that illustrates not just in a visual way and in a conceptual way, but also in an actual literal way. Right now, it represents fluid reality. I was just going to say visually and conceptually, but for you, actually, literally, it represents fluid reality because it literally changes for you. Yes?
Yep.
So, man, what a painting. What a painting.
I almost didn't go get it.
Wow. So how long have you had it, Donna?
About a year and a half.
Okay. Wow. Very cool. Yeah, I think I've seen it before, and I not as clearly as today. So, all right. So Donna, Ryan's things are taking longer, and Sher it's going to be a while. We might not even see them because Sher's got customers, so that could take a couple of hours sometimes. We don't know how long. So I was keen to do module 2, session 2 with Sher and Mary, and we did. So that's cool. So again, that session 2, it just to open up the doorway and kind of just spark the mind a little bit. So that's where we're at, and that's cool. So I want to shift to the to your takeaway. Unless you have, before we get to Donna, Mary, unless you have something that you want to share specifically that's come up in your life and so on, anything of any pertinence and relevance, share. Otherwise, I'm keen to hear Donna.
No, let Donna go ahead.
Okay.
I'm good.
Donna, you were saying it's been a magical day. So and
it's just from the get-go, from the moment I woke up. I will say before I get started on that, I finished module 2. I just happened to that was the one I just went over again, so that was a coincidence.
Ah, wow. So I'm assuming that it's session 3 that is the one that was the thing that made the difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
You know how you say that everything is connected, and we talk about that, how everybody says that.
yeah.
You. Today, there was not very many moments within the day through conversation or observation or even visions that came to me that didn't connect at a very profound level to the
Wow.
point where I was like, what is going on today? I literally had to go take a walk and just sort of hold my head and ground myself.
Wow. Now, Donna, I say wow, and I have to pause you there for a second because it's been that day for both Ryan and for Bina also.
I know when you said that, I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on here?
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's magical. That's magical. And it's a big day for Sher also. I don't know about Mary. I'm not sure.
Wow.
And Mary, is it a big day for you or no?
No, not really. You know, today was just sort of it was a normal day for me because I had a lot of stuff going on. So that's, I was just in my usual kind of work mode and volunteer mode because of the community I live in. I volunteer my time a lot to like help them with things that, events that happen and stuff.
Yeah.
So we were out making signs and sticking them out because we've got a line dance party that comes up once a month. So we were making signs for that and putting them out around the community so that people that don't know about it could be aware of it.
Do you line dance, Mary?
Yeah, I do.
Isn't it fun?
Oh, I have a blast. I love it. It's my exercise.
Ah,
That's my exercise.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But I would say from a metaphorical point of view, and I love to look at things metaphorically, I would say what were you doing metaphorically? You were putting out signs. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So I would say that just in terms of what's going on and where we are at, the profoundness of Ryan and Bina and Donna and Sher's day to day, it's like a sign of things to come. Sign of lots of fun to come.
Yeah.
So for me, your connectivity today in what you were doing, it represents to me what's actually happening right now in terms of what's going on in the sharing, right? And when Ryan comes and shares his story, you'll hear what I mean. And and you're getting already an insight into it a little bit in terms of what's to come. So very exciting, very exciting. All right, so
like I say, for me, it was just a normal day. There was nothing extraordinary.
So far, we have to add the disclaimer. So far.
It is only about 7:00.
So far, right. All right, so let's hear Donna.
From an abstract point of view, in something I had shared, I believe, a couple weeks ago, in that I have a colleague at work that we've created a strong connection with, and she has a relative that I can not only sympathize but empathize and have been there. And she and I have created a very strong connection, and she is the person that I shared the resources of the Way of Impeccability and the Facebook group.
Cool.
She's going to share with her relative. And she is also the colleague that just recently resigned. Right after I did all
yes,
that.
I mentioned, yeah.
And we were talking today, and her last day is Friday, and I felt pressure to share some things with her, and they came to me like really late last night, just kind of random, her vision, just a vision. So I took that and I just let it simmer for a while this morning. And then I went and talked with her, and it ended up that her sister is now in a place that she is very receptive to tools
and she needs them and has recognized that she cannot do this on her own, quote unquote, on her own. And it just reminded me with very strong emphasis of how far in my journey I've gone and the impact of knowing that you're never alone, that we're all connected. And when her sister, or when my colleague said that, I thought, okay, I'm just going to throw this out there. This is why. There's some kind of knowing, and it was given to me, and I'm going to share this with her. And I had just listened to you talking with Bina about offering the way of impeccability and how it's offered and how that relates to the topic that you and she were talking about with finances. And I said, you know, this may be an opportunity that this will be available to your sister, and you don't have to necessarily worry about the cost associated, and it
Excellent.
is online, and she doesn't have to drive. And she's like, are you kidding me? I was just talking to her, and the obstacles that she said were, well, I don't have a car, and I can't get anywhere to go to learn this stuff, and I can't buy it because I don't have any money, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. So I literally offered what you had offered, and I presented it, and it was right in line with the conversation she just had with her sister on all the obstacles. So it just felt really good to have that flow through. And that happens often.
That magical appropriateness.
Yeah. And it just flowed, and I could see her face. She lightened up, and she was smiling, and she couldn't wait to get home and offer it to her sister. And, you know, you had mentioned maybe the colleague was leaving because it's easier to become a friend with somebody that you don't work with. Yes. And she said the exact same thing to me this morning. And she was like, well, it's going to be nice that we don't have to worry about working together. And then, like, maybe if you would be open, we could like maybe go camping. Or,
say, man, you see the pureness, the innocence comes out. Yeah.
It was very cool.
I can't tell you how happy this makes me, Donna. Just, you know, the fact that you have now, the friendship has gone to more, and it's a more friendship now, and it's gone deeper, and you see the inner beauty and pureness and the innocence and the magicalness of the sweetness of your friend come out, which is, of course, that same exists in you also. Man, I just love it. I just love it. So I like to be practical. When it comes to like that with her sister now, sometimes we have to kind of like say, okay, I did recommend this. Where's your sister? Here's the email. Here's the way to connect. She can come on Zoom right now if she wants to. Here's the email she can send and just say hi or whatever. Or give me an email and I'll have Sol email her. We sometimes have to be a little bit kind of bureaucratic when it comes to getting things to actually fall into actual application.
I can do that.
Right.
With
right. So she can just go to, you know, celinalivia@nobilia.org. She can email me there, or you can send me her email. I'll email her, and I'll sign her up into the course and give her all the details and explain everything. You know, like I did with you and with you, Mary. I just sent you the email, and here's the link, and here's your password, and your username is your email, and you can go from there. And we have the takeaway sessions twice a week, and so on. You know.
Yeah.
So life is easy, man. You know, life is easy. And then also, Donna, both your friend and your sister, as far as I'm concerned, are now, you know, I want to add them both, not just the sister.
Oh, yeah. That would be wonderful.
Even though your friend might not have been thinking so specifically of her, I do feel in this instance, it is actually important for the friend also. And particularly just from an intuitive point of view, the way the friend was sharing about her sister, I feel if they were to do this together and basically be commitment buddies, it would be really profound. Yeah?
I recommended that the last time I spoke to her, so I'll re-emphasize that.
Right. And also just to say, hey, you know, we would like to have her here. I would like to have her here because just, you know, hey, she's a good friend of yours. You like her, and that's enough for me. If she's into learning and growing, and it sounds like she is, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's all that's required. Earnest interest. That's it. Earnest interest in learning and growing. If you're earnest about learning and growing, that's all I require. That's all that's important to me, because that's enough. That's enough.
Do you know how we talked about the opposite?
Opposite logic, the philosophy of opposite. Yes.
Okay, so I was sharing with her in my journey the strong desire to have tools
Yes.
and be able to apply them
Yeah.
versus having the intellectual knowledge. And I have that. And I was also sharing what was so wonderful that I have found with the group is the non-judgmental zone that you don't experience every day.
Yes.
Is so wonderful.
Yes.
And also the fact that the way information is presented from different perspectives, no one in the group, including those facilitating, are trying to project their opinions, quote unquote, or their knowledge.
Their beliefs. Right.
And I shared with her, it's not as if you're going to have this set of beliefs and then you're going to get rid of those and somebody's going to come at you with new ones and you're just going to blindly accept them.
No.
And then have these new beliefs. It's nothing at all like that. It's different.
No. Oh,
so
thank you.
Sharing all this, and then it went to the everything you were saying earlier to Sharon and Mary. It was like, did you hear me talking earlier today?
You know,
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the connectivity. I love the resonance. I love the magic. It's so awesome.
That's the beauty of it all, is that all of the different perspectives, it just makes you stop and have to think and figure it out for yourself, what works for you or what doesn't work for you.
And then you make it your own, and then you get to be real. Exactly. So that's why we say our rule 0, not even rule 1, rule 0 is no belief required. Very important. And if ever I get into a point where I'm sharing things from a preachy point of view, you better bloody well slap me.
That's hard from here.
Right. Doesn't matter. There's many ways to slap somebody.
Right.
This is true.
So, it's something that's why I was saying also to Ryan, I'm saying it to myself too, to add for me. And, the thing that I'm practicing, of course, I'm practicing all of this on a daily basis. Now, okay, my whole life has been about practicing all of the stuff that I'm sharing, but doesn't matter. I'm still practicing, So it's very important. And that, to share that what you see it. And when we truly share too, just to elaborate on that a little bit, Donna, and this power conception that I've elaborated on before, which is that they are self-evident sensibilities. So when we share, we say, okay, here's this profound point. Let's say impeccability. Why do I personally feel impeccability to be so profound? Because this is what impeccability means. It means this, this, and this, and this, and this. And when I share it from that conception of trying to look at it or making the effort to connect to its self-evident sensibility, now I'm sharing something that is outside of me rather than a perspective. I'm still sharing, but I'm sharing something that has its own self-substantiating validity, which is independent of me. I just happen to be the messenger. And that is very magically profound. So it's something in addition to what we do, that we make the effort to work it out and to flesh it out and to get to that point where it is self-evident and a self-evident sensibility, like the concept of appropriateness and all of these power conceptions. When we really get to that point where they start to exist independently because they are self-evident sensibilities, it is this which is so massively transformative. I simply become the communicator. That's all there is to it, really. It's really profound. Okay.
Happened today.
Okay, I'll take a little bit of credit and pat myself on the back and say, hey, fine. I've made a lot of effort in my life to actually think them through to the end. It's just my passion. But that's what I was saying earlier to Donna. That's where to Sher, where the peace came up. The pursuit of passion. leads to a personal power, and that's really profound. To profound personal power. Yeah. Really, really something special, Actually, it came out slightly different with Sher, but that pursuit of passion leads to this real connectivity and real understanding, and it's very, very potent. Yeah. It leads to a potency, the pursuit of passion. So it's been my passion to think things through to the end. And okay, this is the consequence of that. But whenever we do that, we pursue our passions, it leads to really profound consequence. Really awesome. It leads to, that was the word. The pursuit of passion leads to profound personal productivity.
Sometimes when I pursue things versus just being open to things, it hasn't served me as well as when I just open up to it. That's just has been my experience sometimes.
Yeah. But when we say pursue, it's capital P, pursue, right?
Right.
So in this case, sometimes the pursuit actually means to make space, to open up, to let it come to us. So yes, so but that's the thing.
Don't chase it. Open up.
Right. So your pursuit is opening up. You made space for more to come. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. In other words, you didn't just, like with a painting, you pursued that even though you didn't know why, you were open and more came. But it was still some kind of a pursuit involved. In other words, when I say pursue here, it simply means don't give up on your passion.
Gotcha.
So we can maybe say, rather than pursue, to persist in the pursuit of our passions, or to persist in the connectivity to our passions. So passionate persistence, or persisting on our passions, let's say it that way, leads to profound personal productivity. And when I say productivity here, I mean consequence, implication, result, like in the case of your painting. Yeah. It's that painting has been very productive. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
in a metaphoric sense. Yeah.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Right.
My whole day was like that. I literally felt like I was floating all day. One conversation after another.
I love it.
Just flowed.
I love it.
Awesome.
Let me ask you something, just to jump a little bit, Donna. In terms of your boss, is your boss by assimilation, just kind of second-hand assimilation? Like to talk about second-hand smoke, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you and your friend have been smoking spirituality in the office there, right?
Right.
Now, just how we are as human beings, we know stuff is going on. Even though when he's around, you might never talk spiritual stuff. It's still in your being. It's in the forefront of your awareness. It's still exuding from your pores, your spiritual pores. Yeah. So in some way, unless he's completely in a very tight bubble, and very few people are in such an absurd bubble, I suspect there's been some small measure of connectivity or influence or effect on him in some way, even if it's maybe that he's just a little cough or two every now and then on that spiritual smoke. Has there been that?
I will say that being a vehicle of a particular message with him, that's been a pressure for me, is just the simple expression, what's the learning opportunity or what's the growth opportunity? And he, in the past, has approached things from a very analytical attorney presentation of words and handling situations. And, it's just very, this is the way it is, and I'm the attorney and I'm right. Right out there blank. And and now he does, like, the new person that took over her position was there today, and he insisted I go and interview her, and I looked at him and I said, what I'd like to do is talk with her about what she wants in a job and why she wants to work here and how she feels about all of this.
Get clarity of intent. I love it.
And I'm like, but I'm not going to interview her. And so at first she got all red, and then I felt as though it took him a bit, but then he stepped back, and I went in there and I was talking with her, and he was in there, and I looked at her and knew she was very uncomfortable with having two people. So I got up and I excused myself, and he came in and he said, "Why did you leave? I wanted you to talk with her." And I looked at him and I said, I felt it was appropriate. I mean, all day long, things like this happen. It was an appropriate thing to do, looking at her.
Oh, I love it.
Go back in there when you're finished.
You were
and I'll
hearing her.
Right. And then I looked at him and I said, "And what is your learning opportunity right now?"
Oh, wow, Donna. Wow. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And what did he say? What did he say?
He just kind of laughed and he's like, "Damn, I hate when you're right." And walked out.
You see that? So in other words, what I'm saying is, Donna, the fact that he was open,
Right.
he was open, the fact that he even asked you to go and connect with her in the first place is to me indication of profound shifts in him. Right now, sometimes it may seem small from our point of view, but internally for him, this is a very big shift from where he was before, yeah?
Well, now that you put it that way. Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of things he said. He talked about narcissism today and the whole, yeah.
Wow. Philosophy of opposite. Sometimes what
I mean, it
people
was
say,
just-
what they
it
say
was-
to others, it actually applies to them.
I know.
So he was talking about himself, and he was basically, it was like a confession in a sense, yes?
He was all about, well, you know how I can be today.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, my heart has changed towards your boss. My heart has time for your boss now. He started. No, but seriously, he started on a path. That is they are the kernels, the elements of actual real humility and the desire to want the opportunity to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And to be real. Tiny. It's tiny. It's the smallest little possible thing, but it's a start. I don't care. 1 goes to 2, goes to 4, goes to 8, to 16. We do that 31 times. We get to 10 million or 10 billion or something ridiculous, right?
Well, I'm doing the same thing, so I'm right there with him.
Right, exactly. But in other words, that shows that your boss isn't a write-off, in other words, what I'm trying to say.
I got you.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. So, time, space, patience, persistence, just let him be and let him come along in his own way. And you just do what's appropriate and impeccable for you. And you can't force it. You can't ask for it. You can't insist on it. But you can create space for it.
There was space flying all over the office today.
Right. And he was making space for things to be new and be different. So what's the new person like?
She's delightful. She really is.
Now you see that is for me delightful to hear, because if I could have wished for something, it said, okay, I can pick one quality that I would like to have in a person to be in the office. Yes, okay, I could say impeccability, I could say earnestness, but I would actually say delightful.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Donna, you have so much seriousness and so much earnestness, and you've had so much stuff that has been the opposite of delightful. To have this continual delightful pot plant next to you every day that's learning and growing and shifting and changing and filling the air with oxygen and delightfulness, this, I feel, is a profound necessity and just a magic that is kind of very valuable in your life. Because, it's going to enable you to share your delightfulness. If you ask Bina and Olivia and whoever that, hey, you know, what they would say, oh, hey, Donna's delightful. Donna might not think so, but we do.
She's very light and airy.
Right. But it brings, so, okay, you aren't light and airy. You are very, very sober. Right? And very serious and very deep and very the opposite of airy. However, that's what my point. That you have a delightful side. And having this as a reminder in your daily life, it is an ability for you to find some more balance.
Exactly.
Right? Because when we got to meet, your your sober side was overly balanced and it was too heavy. Yeah. So the
Yeah.
light which brings out, this is why Donna always mentions when Bina always mentions your smile, we see Donna's delight come out. See? Donna's delight. Oh, I like that. It's like an ice cream flavor. So it's just a magical thing. So having this delight there constantly is going to provide you opportunity, because just appropriateness is very hard if somebody's delightful for you also to not respond in that way, right? And to take your earnestness, your sobriety, and to ameliorate it and adapt it, and through expression and practicing expression, you're going to now express yourself as appropriate to connect with delightfulness. You're going to express it as in a delightful way. That side of you is going to come out, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How awesomely magical is this?
Yeah, it was a magical day.
Yeah. Every day is a magical day, but today particularly
Yeah.
so. But they all are really. I love this, Donna.
Really
I love
anxious
this. I
to
love
hear
this.
about Bina and Ryan's day as well.
Yes. I'll send you the conversation with Bina, which also had an interlude with Sher, which connected to something that was of pressure with Sher. So it's a long thing, but anyway, I'll share it also. Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah. Lots going on. So yeah, it was very, very, very powerful. And just for Bina, it's simple stuff, man, but really profound simple stuff. It was about application for Bina, and the same thing with Ryan. Both of them brought up the concept of hearing specifically, and they made space. They made not just made space to hear, but they deliberately, purposefully set about applying this concept of hearing to say, hey, I am going to now make the effort to hear and see if I can hear, and test my ability to hear and practice my ability to hear, to learn how to hear if I don't know how. Either way, they made the effort to apply hearing as a deliberate activity. And that right there, that is a profound shift. It's one thing to hear all of this stuff. And yes, we do apply it and we do change it. But when we get to that point when we are starting to deliberately implement it, now it takes on a whole new life dimension, and we enter into a whole new phase of being. Right? First, we have to assimilate it and connect it and see the connectivity and see the sense and the value. And then as it filters down, yes, we make the concepts our own. And yes, we are applying them in one way, but it's a different thing when we start to apply it in that super deliberate, conscious way as a shift of being, which is what they did. Very, very magical.
I'd like
Which is
to
what you did also.
Yeah, I'd like to practice with this one. It was like a metaphor with my colleague, in that before I came to the way of impeccability and you and I connected, I had a conversation with her, and it was deep, and she like literally understood, and she was one of the first people that I met that got like heard me.
Wow.
And I said that to her. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. You're like hearing me. And she knew what I meant. And I was saying what I shared with you in the beginning to encapsulate it, having the tools.
Yes.
And somebody who could see the bigger perspective. And because I float up there so much and I get so deep, it's helpful to have somebody to pull me down and help me to balance out.
Yes.
And to have the tools and the vocabulary. And I said all this to her.
I love it. I love it.
Now keep in mind, this is before you
Yes.
and I
Yes. Yes.
okay?
I know.
I know. So, I mean, that's very typical for me. So it wasn't long after that where we connected. And so she and I are continuing to have dialogue. And I'm sharing little bits and pieces of the way of impeccability and some of the things. And we're moving along, and she's sharing her stories about her family, and they're aligned with very similar stories of my family. And she's asking me things and I'm asking her things, and we're both seeing things from a bigger perspective, and we're flowing in these conversations. Yeah. And we're going along over the months. And then there comes a point where it felt as though her season there and our interaction not just from a selfish standpoint, like a Donna Herbert, I'm not talking about that, but
No,
from
no.
a bigger perspective, it felt like her
Yes.
season was completed. And so she comes in, and I knew she was leaving like over a week ago, and I didn't say a word about it intentionally.
Right.
And I was waiting for her to feel comfortable to talk with me. It was her story to
Yes.
share with me.
Yes. Yes.
Well, finally she did today. So she had tears.
Oh,
Like,
man.
she felt as though she wasn't sure if it was the season was kind of completed and if it was time to move herself forward. But then it felt like from a global perspective, there was so much more to that conversation.
Yes.
And you knew that it was like this mutual flow of
Appropriateness?
yeah, beyond that. It was like
Spirit?
yeah. It was like there was so much spirit in the office today. And I was sitting there and I was genuinely moved because I felt like she was going to be moving on from a perspective of putting herself, what she perceived as, in a position, and she kind of said, I'll have retirement and all that good stuff. But for me, I had visions of her in this job when she was talking, and it was beyond the job. It had nothing to do with
So there was the universe at work. And in other words, she's moving from one space of appropriateness to another space of appropriateness, which is more appropriate. And now, because this appropriateness has been served, like you said, the season has come to an end, and she's going to be in another space of appropriateness, but it's spirit at work.
And I could see it. I literally
could see it. Yes.
I could see her in this space and at this role, and almost like in this cubicle setting. And it was like her, but there was like a light to her.
Attunement, in other words. That's what we're actually talking about.
Is that what that is? Okay.
You were perceiving attunement directly. You saw how she was in your life as an act of attunement. Like just when you connect to her, you were attuning to the grander logic. Then you saw her moving on, and you through your perception now, you are connecting to attunement in a greater scheme. And that's what you were perceiving. It was the attunement that you were perceiving. That's the appropriateness of things shifting and changing as appropriate for the individuals in the greater scheme. That's attunement.
And when that happens, I have goosebumps in the hair on my arm.
Yes.
It literally physically manifests.
Yes,
the whole
because
day I had goosebumps.
Yes,
Crazy.
because attunement is a magic that is incomprehensible.
Right. It's so hard to have vocabulary for it.
Right. And here's the thing, Donna. This is why we strive in the end, right? What we do, yes, we develop the way of impeccability. These are our practical tools of application, which we then use to shift ourselves to a place of being where we are able to live in attunement, because attunement requires impeccability. It requires capital T trust. It requires awareness, discernment, understanding, integrity, patience, all of these things. But here's the deal. When we get to that point of attunement, we throw out our personal agendas and we now live according to the agenda of attunement itself. And that's what you were perceiving today. That when you do things and when we let attunement be and we see how things are magical when it comes to attunement, we understand that if we are in attunement, it can only be magical, regardless of whether we understand where it's going, how it's coming about, makes no difference. When we are in attunement, it is always incredibly, overwhelmingly, profoundly, spiritually magical.
Right.
Yes?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It was a magic
There's a feeling that comes
Right.
from being in attunement. That is a feeling of a deep rightness that is so profoundly, absolutely, awesomely right, magically awesome, fantastic, beyond explanation. Yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I saw her moving on, and all of that just presented itself. And it was unique in that there wasn't a pressure to tell her that, because there was some type of knowing that she's going to find it out in her due
Right.
time.
Right.
But there was no doubt in my mind that her season was done there. And
Right.
the flow between she and I had served the purpose it needed to for both of us, not just for her moving
right.
on.
In
I
other
mean,
words,
there was so much
yes.
for both of us.
Yes.
And I just felt this this huge appreciation and gratitude and
yes, because you were connecting to spirit, Donna. Yes, that's what was happening. Your direct appreciation that is connecting to spirit, because when you connect to the wholeness, the greatness, okay, spirit's just a word, but that's why I'm saying attunement. When we connect to that, the greater awesomeness, we start to see the magic, the profound genius of everything, and the profound appropriateness of it all. And how
Right.
can we go against that deep magical appropriateness? No, it's just sensible now. It just makes sense. It's just awesome. It's just magical. Yeah.
Well, it's so beautiful to go back, and I did this the other day I'm searching for the right words, and you please help. In that one of the first sessions we did, we had to write down not our goals, but I'm just coming with that word because it's what's coming to me. What's the equivalent for
Our intents or motivations?
Yes. Intents and motivation. So
Yeah.
I went back and I reviewed those, and one of mine was to have, I'm sure you remember, but to have that attunement on a consistent basis. And
Yes. Basically, to connect to the greater sensibility of things. And this is what you felt today, Donna. Now, in the way that you saw with your friend, you saw that her season had come to an end and that she's moving on, and it's appropriate. So you don't fight it. You don't resist it. You are now at one with it. And essentially, it brings you that peace because you see that this is just right and appropriate. So you have that inner sensibility. Now, we have to, being able to see it deliberately, it's a gift. We don't always see it. But when we know that we've been acting in attunement, we also get to connect and trust that, hey, in a larger sense, I don't see it now, but I'm going to see it later. So this is a very profound deal, a very big deal. But to get that opportunity to see it directly firsthand, it's just magical.
well, for me, it had happened. Those feelings, those experiences happened frequently.
Yeah.
What I didn't have was, first I had no idea, so I had no understanding. And then you have understanding, but then you don't really have knowing.
Because we don't have discernment.
Right. And then you have knowing. Okay, I know you can connect these to the course. I know you can. Then you have the knowing, but you don't have the vocabulary.
Yeah.
And then once you have the vocabulary, you're like, I'm just gonna let this flow because this is pretty darn awesome.
Exactly. Because you get to own it. It's now yours, and you get to use it. Because without use, without application, it's no value. So that is when you get to that vocabulary stage and the ability to express it. It means we now own it so fully that we can use it. We can put it into practice. And that's where it gets to be exciting. Yeah?
Yeah, because you know it's for the greater.
Right. But it's more so. It's that owning it. And the ability to express it. When you said the vocabulary, it's that connectivity to that fullness, that it's yours, it's in you, it's you. And that's what makes the difference. It's not somebody else's, it's yours.
No, it's the greater in you.
It's the greater, exactly. It's the greater in you, right? It's you being connected. It's your spirit connecting to greater spirit, exactly. That to me, that's why Olivia and I like to say spirituality is deeply practical.
Right.
for us at least, spirituality is deeply. If it's not, well, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Then it's just kind of pointless to me. Just an idea. It's just a
Concept.
yeah, mental masturbation for the most part. But yeah, so when it's practical, our spirituality, that's when it's real. That's when it really means stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
It's so huge. It's so huge, Donna. It's so huge. Oh, I just love this. I just love this. What a day. What an absolutely unbelievable day. Huh. It's really, I got to let all this sink in and just absorb and just enjoy it and just luxuriate in it all. Yeah.
It's a good feeling, isn't it?
Yes, it's a very good feeling. So I'm all the more keen to meet and connect with your friend now.
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
Mm. I feel she has a deep sweetness to her and a deep humility. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she
Right.
does. Most definitely.
Right.
Yeah. And it did open in me the opportunity that our season hasn't ended. It's just going to shift in a different way.
Correct.
That was very
no seasons ever really end, do
no.
they?
No.
They don't exist in isolation. Exactly.
No, exactly. That to me loud
And also I'll tell you something else just by way of attunement. I feel the fact that Mary and Sher are here in the group, especially also just kind of starting. But starting and just a little bit of gap between them and potentially when your friend and her sister will start, very necessary. Very necessary. I think that Mary and Sher provide a connecting link to your friend and her sister, which is very necessary. Just in the way they are.
Cool.
That's just my sense of attunement in terms of connecting to her personality. That I think if she'd come in without Mary and Sher, the intensity of you and me and Ryan and Bina would have been overwhelming.
I could see that.
Right. But now with Mary and Sher, and because they express and connect in a very different way to the way you do and the way Bina does. And well, Ryan is kind of in the bridging gap there. But it provides that appropriate connectivity and makes space for them to feel like, okay, cool, I can be here also. Yeah?
Yep.
So see, Mary, there's a greater logic to everything. All makes sense.
That's where the learning curve exists.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yep. It's very profound. So I don't know. There's just when we start to connect into attunement, we start to see that things have a backward sensibility in terms of like we start to see the logic of things. Oh, I'm seeing a pattern now, but I'm looking backwards and seeing a pattern. Stuff was already happening at the time, and I didn't know it. But now I'm starting to see. Oh my goodness, it was happening then already. I know it's just very exciting and very magical.
Yeah, well, really about the awareness at the time. I can think back now and see things that I didn't see then.
Yes.
Because I wasn't either fully aware of them or ignored them even.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And so we didn't make space for it because we were in bubbles. But now,
I wasn't ready. I wasn't even ready to make space.
Yes. So that's why we say, when in doubt, zoom out and get to overview perspective. Yep. So, Donna, I say, when you said like your friend and you described her, she said she's delightful. Right? So now I would say a quality of Donna that I see coming out, which is very powerful to come out, and it's more and more. And Bina will most certainly back me up on this. It's like in the same way as the delightfulness is coming out of the new person. Loveliness, which is an inherent deep quality in Donna, it's starting to blossom and bloom and show itself as a core characteristic that's getting. Yes, you've got many other qualities, but of course, so does this new person now, right? Delightful is not the only thing, obviously, right? But that loveliness, it's really starting to show. Donna's loveliness. For me, I've always seen it, but okay, that's just me and the way I look at things. But I'm just trying to make a point here. It's very powerful, Donna. You might not have thought of yourself in terms of like something that somebody might perceive you and say, oh, there's a real deep loveliness to Donna. But there is. I'm mentioning it as a point of external perception of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the same way as, externally perceive this new person as delightful.
Right. Well, it was a little more than external, but it was just a action right from the beginning.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But I mean, it's not only external. You're connecting to an internalness, obviously, also. Yes, but I'm just saying, it's an encapsulation perception. Let me put it that way, rather than external. All right, it's not quite the accurate word, right?
Gotcha.
So an encapsulation perception of Donna as lovely or loveliness. I don't think it's a conception you might have applied to yourself. That's why I'm mentioning it. But certainly, I would say it's definitely coming out.
I feel as though being obsessed with the pursuit of the journey, and just because I tend to be I am very persistent and stubborn.
I love it.
Because I am that way, I'm very intense. Like, I didn't even recognize when you said the other day a picture looked like me. I looked at that person, and I do look like that a lot.
That intensity, yes.
Oh,
I love it.
kidding. Lighten up, woman.
Right. But look, to me, that's a really beautiful picture, which is why I have it included. Yes, it's very intense, but it's got beautifulness to it. But now there are other pictures where I would say, oh, wait a second, look, I'll show you. So just while I bring up this picture here, so that we can catch Mary up on this too. Mary, in the same way as this external conception, which is just a conception, it's just a fragment, a one particular perception. In the same way as with Mary, I'm just saying that her loveliness is coming out, and it's something that she might not consider for herself. In the same way, Olivia and I are seeing your sophistication, Mary, and how it now is coming out and giving an opportunity for you to connect to more and more and more, and be and own and live and so on. So that might surprise you when we say that somewhat, Mary, right?
Yeah, it does and it doesn't.
There you go. It does and it doesn't, exactly.
Yeah, it does and it doesn't, because, it's as sheltered as I was. I also got sent off to boarding school in Ireland when I was 10 years old.
Why?
And I was there for 2 years. I was actually meant to go and stay through high school, but there were reasons why my parents decided to bring us back.
Right.
But that 2 years of being away, and at a school where it was a very multicultural school. So that was my first experience in life at 10 years old of meeting people from other countries. And that it gave me a different view of life when I came back to a very small town where I grew up. Very small.
Right.
So
the kernels of it were there, but they've never had a chance to really blossom. And that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
in the same way,
I never felt like I fit in when I came back.
Right.
I never
Exactly,
did.
because you've never had a chance to really let the kernels of sophistication, that's what I'm seeing now. Okay, in Donna, that loveliness is blossoming very much so. But I feel with you, those kernels of sophistication haven't had a chance to actually blossom and bloom and grow and extend and become fully. They've always been there, but they haven't really actually come out yet.
Right, yeah.
But they're coming.
They're coming. You're exactly right. I didn't have the chance to have that happen just because of circumstances in life that took over and put me in a different place.
Right. It's coming, Mary. That's what I'm trying to say. It's coming. Yeah. But I wanted to just give that clue of what we are perceiving. Go ahead, Donna.
I was just going to ask Mary, when he was saying the word sophistication, and that coming out in you, was it that word that connected you to traveling abroad? Is that what brought that
Ye-
to your?
yes, yeah. I want to say it did. Because, like I say, I came from a very, very small town,
Gotcha.
and lived there pretty much most of my life, or close to that same town most of my life, other than when I went away to school, and was subjected to, like I say, different cultures, different people, different trains of thought, than coming from a very small town, which was very white waspy, just a very sheltered place.
I
Very,
gotcha.
very sheltered.
Right.
So when
So
I
that
did
traveling
get when I
abroad
did get that,
expanded
yeah,
it.
when I
Ah.
got that opportunity to be someplace else in the world and see so many things, it was overwhelming as 11 years old.
Right. And look
Right.
at what happened. Mary, you grabbed onto it as exciting as opportunity, whereas your sister, if I remember you telling me, she went the opposite way. She
Oh yeah,
resisted. She closed
she was
down.
calling home a week later. She was homesick. She wanted to go
Exactly.
back home.
Right. Which is where this point of sophistication comes in, at the kernel of it, but it's never had opportunity to bloom. And in in what we are doing here, Mary, this is what, and Olivia's intuition on such stuff is very strong. And that's the word that came, that Olivia, when she said, hey, invite Mary to the course. And she said, because I hear that sophistication. She didn't see you, she just heard it in your voice. And when you were on the Zoom with her reading the book thing. And that's where that came from. So now, Mary, you were going to get the opportunity to explore all of the things, that those doors that potentially opened by implication at the school, but never really did, because they were just there by implication. Now they
Right.
are going to do so. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're on a very profound start of a very profound journey.
Yeah, I've always felt like that's been a piece of who I am that's been missing.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, circumstances put me in another place.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's
Yeah.
not like it was a bad thing, because that also has been a learning experience for me over life, having done the things that I was kind of meant to do, I guess, in a way,
Yeah.
for other people.
Right.
And it's made me a better, more empathetic individual,
Right.
having
Right.
taken care of those people in my life.
Right. But from our perspective, I think, Mary, that's just the start. It's just scratching the surface. So, there's much more coming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there is more. I've always
lots
known that.
Lots more.
Yeah, I've always known that there's more. I've wanted more, and I've known there's more.
Yes.
I just wasn't sure how to get there.
Exactly.
So this is my opportunity to find that.
Yes. Exactly. Right there is the encapsulation of what I wanted to say. So yeah, I've got this picture of Donna, which is also a picture of Mary. Hold on.
Oh, we're twins.
Right. So there we go. So this is the picture that Donna was talking about. I said, oh, you know what? This picture, it reminds me a little bit of you, Donna. Looks a bit like you. And Donna at first said, hell no, that's not me. But that intensity. Okay. Now this is Donna's intense side. And that, right? The fierce side of Donna. It's Donna's spirit warrior side. That's the way I see this, Donna. Okay. So now we are going to connect on this is I think this is it's towards the very end here of the story, right? And so I'm going to go to the starting picture. In other words, the two extremes, because I want the picture that to be also represents Donna's loveliness and also sophistication. See, so now we have this as both a picture of both of you, because you also have that intensity to a certain extent and a focus, Mary. Yeah, you can be very focused on very particulars a lot of times. So same thing, particular focus, right? But you both have a loveliness and a sophistication to you. And we get to this picture, which you might say, oh my God, I look nothing like that. But it's not about the looks here. It's about the abstract representation.
Right.
Okay, now this has a little bit of Donna's hair, and you see the bit of the eyes. I mean, it actually does look a little bit like Donna. Like, okay, maybe a younger version of Donna. All right, we'll be, but
Hey,
okay.
watch out. They'll
Well, okay, only maybe by like 2 or 3 years, Donna.
Age is just a number.
But I know, but I mean, it's in terms of, you can see it's a person that is slightly younger than you. Like I say, by maybe 3 or 4 years, but but you see what I'm saying, Donna? I see different things, I like this picture would be perfect for me, except for this year. Off the shoulder, it's like it brings a bit of a sexiness which is inappropriate in this picture. If that was just a normal on the shoulder, up there, then it would be just a really awesome picture. But I love this picture except for that. It's the only thing that throws it off a little bit, because it has a sweetness, it has an innocence, it has a grace, and it has a sophistication, and it has a purity, and it has a self-acceptance to it. Yes?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Right. And also there's a deep self-acceptance of, okay, yes, I know that some people think I'm good looking, but it matters nothing to me. It's totally irrelevant. And this is obviously the photographer or the producer's idea, not necessarily their own. Okay. I just go with it. So there's the ability to be flexible and adapt and be appropriate too. I'm just telling you how I read pictures sometimes, because these pictures aren't casually chosen. They are very deliberately chosen, and I find it's very difficult to find pictures to represent what we are trying to represent. And this one does a pretty good picture. Yeah, a pretty awesome job.
I posted today on the group.
I saw, yes. And I was thinking, where's my picture? Where's my picture?
I was trying so hard. This is where I'm a little inept, to be honest. The technological side of things is not my forte that I'm trying to learn. So I did this search, and then I'm cutting and I'm pasting and I'm saving it on my desktop, and then I'm trying to adjust it in the post, and I'm like, oh man, I got to get to work. I
got you. Okay, so on that point there, I will actually just go here to Google real quick and share with you how to find pictures in an easy way. That's very simple.
I did free. I was trying to find a dragonfly.
Right. Actually, there's a lot simpler way to do that. Simply go to Google and type in dragonfly.
Yeah.
And I'll show you now. And then we go, once we've got it in and Google itself comes up,
right.
You just click on images right there. Boom.
Okay. And then I would try to copy that image, right?
Okay. Now, this is the key point here. This is what I want to share with you. You click on it first, and then it brings up this little box. Now, you can click on this. You can now do right-click, share image as.
Oh, share image as, not copy.
Yes. No. Share image as. Okay. But 2 steps. If you can do it here as well, but this will save the thumbnail. Whereas here it will save it in the bigger space, in the bigger variation of it. Now, if you go to the site itself, typically like where it originated from, now you'll see it here, and you do share image here. Now, sometimes you can click on this image and it'll come even bigger, but typically when you share from the original source, you'll get it in the original size. So yeah, save image as.
Can I go back and do and adjust it? Like put a picture in now? Or
absolutely. Yeah, just okay, right. So to show you how to do that, which is very important to know how to do also, I'll go to Facebook. And let's go to the group here. And you see, when we're talking, let me go 1 second back. When we're talking about all the signs and stuff, and I was talking about that, stuff. This was the picture that was on my Facebook all the time. The sign.
Interesting.
Which is this sign for Switzerland.
Yeah.
Why he has this in the post? But it's just interesting, and Swiss is obviously, representing
neutral
neutrality.
Territory.
Right. But really, the Switzerland represents independence of being as a country. Because that is
you cut out.
Switzerland as a country, we tend to think neutrality when it comes to Switzerland as a country. But that neutrality is them actually claiming, it is the application of them claiming their independence of being.
That's true.
That's what it represents. So for me, that symbol, it represents independence of being. And when you look at the Swiss Army knives, they have that same symbol on them, right? And that's it. It's representing that same tools, the ability to use stuff, right? That functional practicality which the Swiss Army represents, the Swiss Army knife, in terms of appropriateness, a multi-tool, all that. So I know it's just a magical little symbol and sign there. So very cool. Very cool. All right. So to how to change the post, Mary. Sorry, Donna. Oh, and Mary. So if I go to a post that I made, and I'll just find one that I made here. It's Jenny's post. She actually had something nice to say. You know, some of the people they are promoting to self-promote, but she actually had something. Yeah, she said go to my site, but she actually had something that was real to say. That's the alarm for the 5 o'clock warning for the session. See, so I'm trying to find a post that I made here. All these other posts, which is fantastic. I'm really pleased to see more posting. Okay, so this little arrow right here, that's what you click on, and it says edit post, and there you go.
Oh,
Right.
cool.
And then yours won't have a picture, and you just click on photo video, and you add one, and it should add it. Now sometimes it doesn't, but it should. So okay, there you go. Very simple. So
I'll make
easy.
mine with the picture.
Yeah. To find pictures, it is not easy. It is very difficult, right? So when we see like Olivia's posts, and she makes a lot of posts with a lot of pictures, you know, the appreciation for the pictures. It's when we start to look for pictures ourselves, we realize that hey, there's a lot more going on here. You know, to find the pictures, and Olivia has a particular skill for connecting. She takes a picture, and she does it in reverse. She does it in reverse, but actually quite consciously. She takes a picture, and then what comes, she makes the writing, right, from the picture first. We write first and add the picture afterwards. She does it in reverse. Quite nice.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
She finds the most beautiful pictures.
Yes. Yeah, Olivia is quite the artist, and I don't know if I've shown it to you here, but okay. And since my camera is free today and it's on a longer cord, I can actually show you. There you go. You can see some of it. Let me
wow.
Lower down. And I gotta go. Which way am I going now? That way. All right. So there's more of them, right? You see all the paintings now, in other words?
Yeah.
Okay. Those all painted by Olivia.
Very talented.
Isn't that something? And you know, she never painted all her life. It's just one day she came back and she had these paintings and said, "Oh, I painted these." I'm like, what? Like just out of the blue, all of a sudden. I don't know. It's just the most incredible, amazing thing. So I love her. There are more of them around the house. She gave those to me specifically, and I treasure them. They are my most prized, treasured possessions. Very important to me. So very huge. So.
That reminds me of my sister. She decided when my mom was 90 that she would give my mother a little distraction by taking her to a painting class. So the two of them took painting classes together. Well, my mother, she just started making the most amazing paintings at 90 years old. So I said, "Gee, Mom, you're going to be the next Georgia O'Keeffe."
Wow.
You know, and after a while she stopped because the dementia took over, which was too bad. But she probably spent, I want to say, 3 or 4 years with my sister going once a week to this art teacher, and they had the most wonderful time together.
Interesting. Yeah. So Olivia's always busy with lots of other stuff, and you know, so at some point she'll come and join us in these sessions. But you know, lots of stuff taking her there. So, but basically, when you do connect to Olivia, just remind her that how much you miss her in the sessions. By the way,
yeah.
So help me. I'll help you to leverage her because I ideally wanted to, you know, find the space and time and opportunity and the appropriateness to come and join us again. You know, but there's many reasons why she isn't here, and it's all good, you know. So, but still, I keep hoping every time that today will be the day, you know. So. But you can help me. So
no problem.
Yeah,
I'll push a little.
Yeah, no, they push a lot. But also, I want to say, and I've said this to you, Donna, and I say it to Bina, and I will say it to Janelle also, that, Olivia is very receptive to being reached out to. So you basically got to go to Olivia. She's not going to come to you. So just know that. So reach out to her and connect with her, and she'll respond. And you're going to get magic more than you ever believed possible. But do that. So what I am very keen to see later on in the future is basically where just all of you, the ladies, the women in the grouping, where you guys get together on your own. I know it sounds sexist, and I know it's kind of weird, but in today's world, guys getting together on their own is inappropriate. Guys need to always be with women. They can't be on their own because then it's just a mess and a muddle. But at the same token, it's not inappropriate for women to get together. There's a magic and a power that gets leveraged when women get together. It's just a way of things because of the nature of history and past and society and all of this. It has profound magic. So I'm very much hoping that you guys will do a Zoom session of your own at some point, and that would be really awesome. Yeah?
Yep.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there, that.
No, it's
Because when you can-
funny. It's funny that you say that. Within my circle of friends, the females in the group, we all make a concerted effort to get together and spend time together
Yeah.
to have conversations.
Yeah.
Whether it's for a half an hour over at the
Right.
pool, or whether we say we're going to go out to dinner, that
Right.
we make that, and that connection that we have is so much stronger because we do that.
Yep.
Because
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. It's huge. So I'm really hoping that, and I'm not just hoping, I know it will come at some point, but I just want to put it out there that, this is something that I really feel is very magically important. And also, when you connect to Olivia and you make that effort to connect to her, you are going to get the perspective and connectivity from a very different angle on the same conceptions, but it's going to come from a very different perspective and an angle than to the way I share it. And that is where the magic lies. It's very profound. It's very huge, So, and also, just in terms of practicing expression and all of that stuff, you'll get to see how important that is and how necessary and how vital that is. So many things will come into play. It'll just be very rewarding and very profound. So just put that out there. Very important. Very powerful. Very powerful. All right. So Ryan, man, whatever happened to your stuff, I don't know. He said, been fun. We'll explain soon. And that was, I don't know, like an hour or two ago. So I don't know what's happened there. So I don't know. We'll hang around a little bit more. But I tell you what, I think right now, actually, maybe let's, I'll just leave it on, but I want to take a little break and make some coffee and stuff. And then maybe if you guys are still around, we come back to you, Ryan, because I'm very keen to hear Ryan. But I'm feeling I'm a little flat. So I just want to recharge a little bit. But I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it on.
I am too.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm gonna
Been a
leave the
long
session
day.
on. So you guys can leave meeting and come back, or you can just leave it on. Either way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect.
Well,
anything.
are you gonna post it if Ryan joins you later tonight? You'll post it to the group or no?
I'll email you guys. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
But what I was gonna do right now is just leave it on and just pause the recording. The recording back on. So maybe that's not a bad idea. So what I'll do is I'll end this particular meeting right now, and it's on the same link actually. But then it will start saving that as a recording, and then I'll start a new session and put that on pause so that when Ryan joins and you guys can rejoin, it's that same link again. But I'll just stop this one so that it will record separately, and then Ryan's one will record separately.
Okay, that sounds good.
So just I'm gonna immediately restart the meeting, but I won't be here for like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. So you guys can join whenever you had the little break and just come right back. Or just maybe join and leave it open and listen for when Ryan comes. And but it won't be anything until it comes. But I just want to do it so we have two separate recordings.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds
all right. See you a little bit later.
All right.
Bye, Donna.
Bye-bye.
Nice talking.
All right. See you later.